You have found the Total War Warhammer Fantasy Podcast. Welcome to Renowned and Feared.
Oh, did you hear that?
Yep. Thanks,
Yeah.
Craig.
Thank you, Craig, our producer. All right. Everybody, you're joining us on a red letter day for the strangers of Reddit getting together and producing something great called Renowned and Feared, a Warhammer Total War podcast. You're joining me today with my co-host, Archer.
Hello, I'm Archer King.
Hi, Archer King. My name is Pax, and we'll be your trusty guides through Warhammer 2 Total War.
I wouldn't say trusty.
No. It's got to be. Don't worry about it.
I am unreliable at best.
No. Yeah, we're both trusty here. Don't think too hard. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Anyway, hey, Archer.
Hey, how's it going?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I am good, all things considered.
So Archer, who is the man behind the name?
Who is the man? I am a gamer, I guess, first of all. I'm a big fantasy fan. Yeah, my spare time I like to climb and ski. And if I'm not, that's pretty much on my computer.
You're a pretty adventurous guy.
A little bit, yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So as for myself, I'm a little adventurous myself. To put it in the context of the show, we will be covering the legendary lord Markus Wulfhart and the Huntsmarshal's expedition.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually was a scout in the United States Army, so I'm gonna throw that out there.
I didn't even know that.
Well, we'll be learning a lot about each other as this surely shoots to the top of the charts.
Exactly.
In every category.
Yeah. Look out, Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan. No, let's not say we're better than Joe Rogan. When I can afford to get stoned and do this podcast all day, I'll be a happy man.
There you go.
So I did the military thing for a while. Was a peasant console gamer for a long time, and I decided to invest in a gaming PC so I could play this amazing game called Total War Warhammer 2.
It was pretty amazing.
It is.
Changed my life.
It changed my life as well. It was the true calling I needed.
There you go.
So how did you get into Total War Warhammer 2?
I'd be lying if I was saying it was anything other than a generous Steam sale. But I played Rome 2 for something like 500 hours. And I've always, like I said, been a pretty big fantasy fan. So it's kind of that perfect marriage of my interests. So it's quickly taken most of my time.
It's easy to sink 8 hours at a time. It's almost like you slip into a Total War coma.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
One more turn is what I always tell myself.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially with Medieval 2.
Yeah, it gets out of hand really quick.
You start your invasion into Russia, and the next thing you know, you're heading into Turkey, and it's 5 a.m. in the morning, and the sun's coming out. So I got into it by watching. As I was telling Archer pre-show, I was had to start working the night shift, and in order to fall asleep, I was watching Legend of Total War. Shout out to him as some level of inspiration for getting this game. Play the classics, Rome Total War, Medieval 2, and then I saw him playing this game called Warhammer, and I started watching him play it, and I couldn't get it out of my head, and I just kept watching him play it and other people play it, and I knew I had to get it. And when my wife said she wanted to start streaming, I'll link her channel to the show eventually when she starts again. She's on a little bit of a break, but when she wanted to get a PC to do that, I was like, well, I got to build it, to Warhammer standards, and that's what I did.
Just copy the specs from Steam.
Basically. Well, actually, you don't want to know because it took me about 6 months to pay off, and it was absolutely crippling. I worked a lot of overtime.
You're a good husband.
Hey, you got to do what it takes, and I got something out of it too.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. You get to play too.
So how would you Total War is a unique game series, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What makes Total War truly unique, when I was in high school, right about before I went to college in 2006, I saw a trailer for Rome Total War, and it blew me away. And what makes this game unique is it's essentially two games. I don't know if you would break it down this way, but the campaign in the battles.
Mm-hmm. For sure, yeah. Like, you could even stretch it further and say multiplayer is its whole other thing.
Multiplayer is a thing I have never touched.
Not into it, no.
No, I kind of lost. I just don't have that desire for competition.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's my work is pretty stressful, and not that the campaign isn't stressful, especially when you try to amp it up to very hard or legendary. But it's different, it's like a game of chess. You can sit there. If you ever played a game of chess with a buddy and you're just sitting there knocking back whiskey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's also satisfying to just start to paint the map eventually.
Oh, painting the map is great.
I don't need the stress of the individual battles of a multiplayer for sure.
No, and I think the campaign produces unique situations where there were definitely battles with Markus Wulfhart that I had that were not quest battles, but they definitely felt like them.
Yeah, like it really meant something.
Yeah, we'll get into the unique features of this faction. Also, the unique ways it tries to just beat you down into the mud over and over again.
And you didn't even play Mortal Empires.
And I didn't. Well, I tried it a little bit before, and eventually I will go back. But I mean, the Vortex campaign for him seems more suited. You feel like conquistador going into the Incan Empire,
Mm-hmm.
and going city by city. At first, you've got, Anyway, we'll get to that section soon. But yeah, so the way Total War works is, you get your campaign game sort of, and your battle game. On the campaign, you got to build your armies, build your cities, manage that all, and the different features we'll cover as they come. But as you create your armies, when they collide, it kind of goes into a whole different scenario. If you're familiar with Age of Empires, was a big game that I did play online way back in the day. I don't know if you've ever played that.
Wasn't a big Age of Empires guy, no.
No, really?
No, I haven't.
Have you ever played any other RTS game competitively?
Competitively, no. I played a little bit.
Well, maybe that's the wrong way to put it, but just PvP in general.
The only PvP game I've really played a lot of is Rainbow Six Siege. That's about it.
Oh, you're one of those.
And original Minecraft Hunger Games.
I was out of commission for Minecraft, but I've seen some videos on the the Hunger Games that I see the appeal. I'll give you that one for I see the appeal.
Yeah.
So, do you think we're ready to go into the Legendary Lord?
I think we're ready. Yeah, let's start on Marcus.
All right. Oh, have I said the title for this? Yes, I have.
Yes, you have.
Renowned and feared, everybody.
Renowned and feared.
Markus Wulfhart, the Huntsmarshal's expedition. This was part of the Hunter and the Beast DLC. It didn't come out too long ago. It came out just before I got this game. So
Okay, yeah.
I tried it out early on,
Mhm.
but due to the difficulty curve, I opted to go to other factions. If you know
Yeah,
what I mean.
it's not a noob friendly campaign at all, for sure.
No, and before we get into how it's definitely not a noob campaign, we're going to talk a little about Markus Wulfhart, the legendary lord himself. He is, which I've come to understand, is a little odd that he was just a normal dude,
Yeah.
living in Midland in
Mhm.
a place called Drakenwald, I believe.
Drakenberg. Looking at the wiki
Drakenberg.
right now.
Well,
Drakenberg.
Bergwald, you know what that is.
Same thing.
Yeah, if you're German or Imperial. Anyway, so he was just a huntsman. I'm guessing maybe a trapper, if you could describe him,
Mhm.
living in the forests of in Midland. It's quite. I think the forests take up most of Midland. It's a portion of the empire that's about northeast of Altdorf.
Mhm.
And it expands quite a way, and it holds a lot of dangerous creatures. Not to, well, it includes beastmen and other dangerous creatures.
Including like a half dozen or so that he's known for killing.
Yeah. He's known for killing. He's good at killing things that
Kind
are
of
large.
thing.
It is kind of Marcus's thing. So Markus Wulfhart was an ordinary man living as a huntsman in these woods. And while he's out on one of his little expeditions that he does to, put food on the table for his family, we don't have much history of whether he had a wife. I mean, maybe he did. He seemed to be a young man early on. It's quite possible.
And he got pretty angry.
Yeah.
The vengeance was there.
The vengeance was more than real. Do you want to tell us where that vengeance came from?
Well, upon his arrival back at Drakenberg after his successful, I presume, hunt, he found the entire town had been destroyed by a giant. Actually, I think it was a Cyclops giant.
Yeah, a bone grinder giant, which is
Bone grinder.
yeah, a bone grinder, which it has that feeling to it. From what I understand, is they're actually larger than the regular giants that you encounter in the game, at least, because that's the only knowledge I have. Yeah, I guess they're old.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, they're older than the giants that the orcs encounter.
Mhm.
They're definitely more ancient, and I guess taller and bigger. And this one was called the Cyclops because it had previously lost one eye. So when he came home and found his entire village, I imagine utterly devastated by something that's, I don't know, 6-7 stories tall, maybe bigger, to the point where, I mean, I got to tell you, I've seen some things. If you've ever seen a building, let's say, that was made by hand, if you ever go to an ancient place, like I've never been to the pyramids, but I've been to a place like that. Skyscrapers have this artificial feeling that have never impressed me. But some things are so large that your mind can't wrap your head around. And this bone grinder giant, I mean, I don't know if there was anything left. I mean, think Attack on Titan, probably.
Yeah. Same thing.
Same thing, village, like houses, just, the smithereens pounded to smithereens. And,
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, and I mean, it's probably eating people. I don't know what it was doing there, but it killed everybody he knew. It took away probably the house his his family had lived in for generations, just obliterated everything that had made him him, except for what he was already carrying, which was his bow, and I don't know if he had a sword or an axe, but those are the things he took when he tracked down this bone grinder giant called the Cyclops.
Yeah, and from there it was just vengeance for years.
Yeah, vengeance for years. He tracked that son of a you-know-what down to his lair. And I imagine, I tried picturing what it would look like in a movie. And if you've seen The Predator, when Arnold Schwarzenegger is like lost everything and he just covers himself in mud, sets up all the traps in the night. And that's how I pretty much picture Markus Wulfhart. He falls into his lair, sends an arrow into his only good eye, and then he just chops that thing down, starting with its hamstrings. And then I don't know how he does it. It's kind of like one of those stories of history when you read, you're like, that can't be possible. But he chopped that damn thing's head clean off. I mean, probably completely destroyed his sword or axe in the process, but he took the thing's head.
I mean, I don't think it was clean off. I think it was probably a good couple of minutes of him just hacking.
I mean, you say a couple of minutes, but the way this was written, it kind of sounded like he might have just blacked out by the time he actually killed the thing, and he just spent the next hour just parting that thing from its shoulders.
Yeah, for him it was like 2 seconds, but in reality it was like an hour.
And he just wakes up from this blackout of vengeance that he went through, probably covered in blood, mud, and who knows what else. And he had a mission of vengeance to basically commit genocide against any other creature that resembled what had done this to his ancestral home and everybody he ever cared about. Which went
from there on to more monsters in the Empire.
To many more monsters. I think there was a chimera, a dragon. Do you know more details about this?
It was the Ostermark ice dragon. So another section of the Empire there. Several basically famous monsters similar to the giant that he had killed, and that they were somewhat infamous for being a nuisance to the Empire.
So you're telling me he got around a little bit after this?
A little bit, yeah.
So as he was doing this, he made a name for himself as a great hunter, and eventually attracted the attention of the emperor of the empire, Karl Franz. And this is kind of this leads into where the campaign begins. He gets the attention of Karl Franz, who offers him a dukedom. It's some sort of royal recognition where he could retire with lands,
bunch of money. Just he's set for life essentially.
Yeah, he was set for life. He's offered an estate. Who knows what else he was offered? But when he was offered this gift, he just rejects it, and he turns down all this money, this land. He sees it as an anchor, basically.
Yeah. Instead, he chooses to continue his path.
And when he turns this down, Karl Franz, the emperor, you think he'd be upset, but he's actually kind of impressed and excited. So he asks I don't know who he asks, but he gets them to go down into his vaults and retrieve the amber bow, which is Markus Wulfhart's signature weapon. Would you like to tell us a little bit about the amber bow?
Yeah, it was pretty much a normal construction, except that it was made with Drakewald oak, and I believe an amber wizard laid some magic enchantments in it, specifically to guide it towards the very heart of whatever Markus is shooting.
So you got this guy who's already incredibly skilled, already Hold on. Let me wait a second while
Mhm.
my set gets changed. How you think we're doing so far?
All right.
Yeah.
This is my weak point. I get like my weakest point.
Well, this is going to be something we, learn how to do is as we work together more, you get that synergy, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it's not like we're sitting in the same room and you can I can give you that look to be like, I don't want to, because I mean, obviously we don't know each other personally, but I don't want to be seen as, this is going to be something that's 50-50 all the way down if it becomes successful. I don't care how much, if I'm doing editing or whatever, it doesn't matter. If you're my co-host, you're my co-host.
Mhm.
And as long as you're on the show, and if we ever make anything out of it, it's 50-50 all the way.
Sounds good.
But also doing it for fun is great because I've never completed a campaign before.
Yeah, there you go. You got that out of it.
I got that sweet, I don't know, achievement.
Cutscene.
Yeah, that sweet cutscene. I don't know. It was a pretty cool quest battle. Anyway, hold on. Let me get my mind right. Sorry, my son just, my wife just finished changing him.
All good.
All right. So yes, the amber bow was carved from the very wood that he grew up in, and it was enchanted by an amber wizard who are of masters of beast magic. AKA, what I learned was, so did you know that beast magic was from the brown wind?
No, I didn't, but that's hilarious.
Yeah, so the brown wind of magic is tied to the beasts.
Y'all couldn't have picked a better color, like dark yellow or like ochre?
Yeah, I mean, they should have just gone with amber wind and maybe changed, I don't know, come up with the rust bow. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty cool class of its own. These wizards are, I mean, I guess you could describe them as they can transform themselves into animals. They stay out on their own. They prefer the company of animals as opposed to people.
Mhm.
Sometimes I can relate. And so this amber bow, like you were saying, you're giving this weapon. It's that to a scout, a hunter who's already so distinguished and is probably an excellent shot, and now you've put this enchanted longbow in his arms that it literally guides the arrow straight to the heart. So it probably explains how he's able to shoot well past what a normal human being could shoot. He puts it in as good of a spot as he can, and then the magic just nudges it in the right direction.
Does the rest. Takes account for the wind and the distance and everything else going on.
Well, I like to picture magic as like not being like kind of like an automatic thing. Like if I had the amber bow, since I haven't shot a bow in a long time, like I would still miss somehow. You know what I mean? But if they were close enough, it would make me feel like suddenly I was Robin Hood or something.
Yeah. Yeah, it just takes you that extra little bit to make you feel good.
So once he got the amber bow, it's not clear on. Well, actually, the emperor names Markus Wulfhart the Huntsmarshal of the empire, and the captain. So he's in command of the Imperial Scouts, and the mission, I assume, he gives him just prior to the Vortex campaign opening up, is to Lustria, where the Empire has a sort of a foothold. They have at least one port there, maybe a couple of minor settlements outside that port, and they have been raiding the surrounding areas. And there's this cold-blooded race, basically sentient velociraptors that
description.
yeah, and they don't mind you if you take a stroll through the woods. You probably won't even see them. But if you start stealing their stuff, man, they come out and they call all their friends too,
and then some,
and then some, and they get some big friends.
Yeah, and in the famous words of Nakai the Wanderer, they steal artifacts, so we should kill them. The Battle of Itza battle, from his perspective, literally begins with him being like, "They stole shit."
They stole shit. I actually, on whatever we decide to do after, I do kind of want to play as through Nakai, because I never encountered him once until the final battle.
Yeah, he tends to die.
Oh yeah, they had one settlement through, like, I don't know how it lasted, but they just didn't upset anybody.
Yeah, no.
So anyway, Markus gets sent with an expedition, the Huntsmarshal's expedition to Lustria. To I think the reason why he doesn't land directly in the colonies is it's kind of a mission to at first take the pressure away from the colonies that the Empire has established there. So they land him on a coastline. I don't know the exact name, but it's kind of on the it's across this patch of sea to the south on the northeast side of Lustria. And I think they're there to draw the attention of lizardmen away from their actual established colonies, because from the moment you get there, you're bombarded with mission after mission of how the lizardmen have basically been massacring their way through the settlements that have been established there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's to sort of like go ahead of the colonies and sort of make way, or to scout ahead, essentially. Yeah.
Definitely to scout ahead, because I know from the very beginning of the Vortex campaign, Markus Wulfhart just talks about they get some good shit and we're going to take it from them.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
I mean, from what I read, I'm kind of conflicted from the Total War version of Markus Wulfhart, because what I got from what I read is he doesn't seem to be one for worldly things. He just wants to hunt the biggest, meanest thing he can find.
Yeah, and this is just a nice avenue to do that.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're right. I guess it makes sense now that I think of it. The more treasure they find, the more they can put into tracking the creatures deeper and deeper into this continent that has never been explored before.
Yeah, he gets to do what he wants, and everyone else with him just gets paid.
Yeah, there's how's that saying go? You get paid to do what you love, or
if you do what you love, you never get paid a day. And you wait, shit. Do what you love, and you'll never work a day in your life. Is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, do what you love, and you'll never work a day in your life. And that's what Markus Wulfhart is all about. He's about doing what you love, and hunting the biggest, meanest things around is what he loves. He just, something about that feeling of taking down this like 10-ton Tyrannosaurus Rex.
I like this thought process of doing what you love, but also it's okay to basically commit genocide on the lizardmen.
Well, they're not really people, are they?
I mean, I have a soft spot in my heart. It was a little difficult in the beginning.
See, I don't have that attachment. Although by the end, I definitely want to try them out, because, god damn, do they eviscerate swordsmen like no tomorrow?
Yeah.
Lizardmen are far superior physically to human beings.
Mm.
I don't know if it's the scales or the cold-bloodedness of them that makes them better. But I guess if they weren't lizardmen, it'd just be a bunch of naked men running around with, crazy, colorful headdresses. But they're definitely more dangerous than that.
It's like you said, they're basically velociraptors with spears.
with spears and clubs that have obsidian shards on them.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure if you ever look into I just to bring this up really quick, the whole world of Warhammer is loosely based on the real world and its history. And Lustria is basically South of America. And the lizard men represent kind of the ancient Maya, Aztec, all those, ancient civilizations that have faded from this world. And something unique about them is their weapons, which were clubs, but they had, I believe it was obsidian or some sort of volcanic rock that could be incredibly sharp, but would eventually shatter within the club. But you still have a club, but either way, these things would break off in flesh and slice you up, like almost better than steel.
That I did not know that. That sounds way worse.
Oh yeah, it's see, this is the type of thing to note for future podcasts to get more, that juicy detail.
Little tidbits.
Yeah, well, when you put yourself really into these shoes, I mean, just put yourself as the huntsman, the kind of unique. Well, let's take it into this.
Mm-hmm.
So we've covered his personal history. Let's go into what makes this faction, the Huntsmarshal's expedition, unique.
Mm-hmm.
You got some race attributes that are. I mean, I don't know if you call them race attributes, but they're certainly unique to his faction. You've got this mechanic in the campaign called the Emperor's Mandate. You have to receive a claim from the Empire back and home by taking property, by killing armies, and this leads into basically reinforcements. You get, since you start with one kind of isolated outpost, the big mechanic to this campaign is that you can receive reinforcements back from the Empire. And I don't know about you, but I almost entirely relied upon this as my survival on my campaign.
Yeah. No, I found the hostility mechanic that is sort of meant to be a warning or to hold you back a little bit from. I mean, because as soon as you hit level 5, you immediately summon a lizardman army, which, depending on how much territory and what level your characters are, it can be stronger or weaker, but it is just another army to deal with at maybe not a super opportune time. But I found myself actually pushing the hostility up just so I could get those reinforcements.
Yeah, you get some pretty good ones. I made some mistakes prior to the campaign that I completed for this, where I'd often go straight to like artillery reinforcements, because you got some options like cavalry.
Yeah.
But the thing that's really good for Markus Wulfhart is if you choose the infantry reinforcement, which in my opinion didn't sound so good at first, but you get this unit that he's really excellent with, which is the huntsman.
Yeah.
And you think because they don't have a crossbow, they're not that great. They seem like a normal, archer unit, but they do a lot of damage to, larger creatures, anti-large.
Yeah. Yeah, they do have a bonus to it, so it's pretty easy to like focus fire, especially on the lizardman, who tends to have pretty big targets. Like they take that large thing to a new level.
Yeah, I think I had like 5 huntsmen in my army as soon as I could get them from beginning to end, almost.
Yeah, it's basically a doom stack with Markus.
And we were joking before when we first got together, talking about how we didn't like the high elves because it's just a game of who has more archers than me.
High elves versus high elves, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean I'm glad in this particular campaign you can't go all archers, but the huntsmen, I mean, they can They can move. They can fire while moving, which isn't a big deal later on. But in the beginning, if you beat an enemy army out on the field, you want to chase as many down as possible as they're fleeing. And at first, you really don't have any option to do this with. You have no cavalry to start off with.
Mm-hmm.
I guess discounting the war wagon, which could be a meme all on its own. I mean, when you think about it, in reality, a war wagon, it should be more effective than it is, right?
The idea is badass, but seeing it in practice is not cute. It is so rough.
It is a little rough. I mean, I don't have the unit up like playing on the game right now, but I think you get like at least 4 guys with rifles, supposedly repeating rifles in the back of a big wagon drawn by at least 2 horses.
Yeah, and you do have like a 360 fire arc, which is nice.
No, the 360, yeah, it definitely is good, especially for that first battle, because if you just charge right into the initial battle, I mean, I only had my battle difficulty on normal, but even that first battle is a little difficult.
Yeah, it's a Bastillodon. I mean, like, it's a little bit different with the Mortal Empires one. But the Vortex one is a little bit more difficult just because you do have that Bastillodon, which, while not a super great unit, fighting it in the first turn is a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I'd actually forgotten that Bastillodon was there. Now that I remember it, I'm having flashbacks to my poor, spearmen being just thrown all over the place.
Yeah, I got lucky with my first Vortex battle, actually, and I was able to get my War Wagon to draw just the Bastillodon away. And by the time my War Wagon was out of ammo and everything else was taken care of, the Bastillodon was softened up a bit.
No, that's in a definitely a strategy I know I relied on in the beginning was having that war wagon. It's just enough of annoyance that the AI. I mean, you can picture in real life. You got these guys. Yeah, I think there's 4 war wagons in a unit. Is it 4 or is it 5? Do you know offhand?
I think just on like normal to large, it's just 3.
Oh, 3. Okay.
I believe I'm on large unit scale, so I think it's 2, 3. I think.
I think I'm pushing it on extreme unit scale or whatever I'm on, but I think I may have 4. But regardless, you got at least 4 guys in each of these wagons, and they're firing rifles into, a group of guys or a single Bastillodon that, and it's just enough to get their attention to pull away maybe that crucial unit away from your enemy, just so you can deal with the rest of the chaff. And the chaff in the Lizardmen army in the beginning of the game is no joke. I mean, you got Saurus warriors and even the skinks in the beginning are a little difficult with their javelins.
Yeah, I like playing as a Lizardman. I very rarely use the skinks with cudgels, just because it's basically a running down unit depending on what you're going against. But playing as the Empire, it's a little bit more difficult because they will beat your swordsman in a straight up fight.
Yeah, they seem, at least the initial, swordsman before you level them up, having those javelins to throw in beforehand. I mean, is there a difference between the skinks that throw javelins and the skinks that just have the clubs?
Besides the obvious like little bit of ranged, I believe the cudgel infantry has like a higher melee attack, basically.
See, I haven't played too much of the Lizardmen, but I always assumed that the ones with javelins were a bit, there was no question. You would just, if you could only get skinks, you would get all the ones with javelins, just because they have that. If you played any Rome Total War, the legionaries throw javelins before they go in, and throwing javelins before you charge into an enemy is always a better option than just going straight in with swords.
Yeah. They're not exactly iron breakers, but they do help in the beginning for sure, because that is your only missile infantry until you get like skink skirmishers, which is fairly early on, but it takes a few turns for sure.
So, yeah, So you got your war wagons, which are utterly useless past a few turns in. I mean,
Yeah.
I got rid of it fairly early on. You got your huntsmen, which are really the backbone of your army.
Yeah.
In those initial battles, when you got swordsmen and spearmen, maybe if you're lucky, a great sword unit. Every battle, I swear to God, I was in. My swordsmen must have been suffering like 90% casualties.
Oh, close. Yeah, for sure.
I felt bad for those guys, man. Like I said, velociraptors with shields and swords / clubs just tearing into your front line.
Yeah.
And I didn't really have a good way. I don't know if there's a better way of countering it than letting them get eviscerated and then moving my huntsmen around to the side and trying to pick them off from the side. Because, like I said, even on the battles I won, which I did win fairly consistently, I don't think I lost a battle with Wulfhart. I did lose plenty with the other generals I raised, but for those first, I don't know, 30 turns, swordsmen and spearmen just got ripped apart every battle.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know where he got them all. This is supposed to be a small colony expeditionary force. I don't know where he's hiring all these swordsmen are from.
Yeah, I don't know. Calling game mechanics into play there is a little... yeah, I don't know where they're coming from either.
Well, I mean, the game mechanics are interesting. Like you mentioned, the hostility meter earlier. That is definitely a distinct feature of this campaign that I grew to enjoy. Like you said, you kind of... Maybe if I was playing it on Legendary, and maybe eventually I'll get good enough to do that, that there's a more delicate balance you have to strike. But definitely at first, I was dreading that going to max, because you could tell the difference when you fought an army when it was at the max hostility. They just would fight to the bitter end, man. It was driving me crazy when you'd see one lone skink surrounded by a bunch of swordsmen, just still fighting on, man. Living,
Yeah. The only thing with the hostility meter that I just couldn't get behind was, I guess it's sort of only to my playthrough, but Teclis was being a jerk, declared war on me for like as soon as I met him, and the hostility meter would go up when I fought him.
No, that is definitely... I didn't realize that the hostility meter affected. I don't know about you, but at first I didn't notice it, but I didn't like how it applied to any other faction than the Lizardmen.
Yeah,
I don't think it should have. Like, what I had a big war with the Dark Elves, like about midway through, and I did not like how all those buffs got applied to them as well, man. Having war hydras, I had a battle where like 5 of them came into a city and they just would not go down, man.
With Blessed Dread, like Lokir?
No, it was Morathi. I mean, we'll get into... yeah, oh, dude, I knew we'd have to... This is the great thing that makes this game what it is these campaigns go so drastically differently. Yeah. And I just want to make sure we cover the basic things, that are on the Select Lord screen. So we got the Emperor's Mandate, which affects... you get these reinforcements coming in as your hostility meter goes up. Mm-hmm. So the more victories you attain, you get different levels of hostility that attract. And the higher it goes, the higher the enemy leadership goes, and the higher the weapon strength goes. And it sounds just as bad as it really is. Like I said, you can have... even in a battle you'll win, there'll be that one poor little skink dude, and he's still fighting for the cause to the bitter end. And you just want the battle to be over with, but you got to kill every last one of those things.
Yeah, because Lizardmen as a faction already have pretty high leadership. So adding that in, it makes some units almost unbreakable. Like Temple Guard are unbreakable.
Dude, they absolutely were. Those... God, I didn't learn a lot of the names. I'm glad you played the Lizardmen, but the Temple Guard, I grew to know their name.
Yeah, especially like the Regiment of Renown one is I think that one automatically is unbreakable, but it makes basically even down into like Saurus warriors without shields pretty much fight to the last man. Or lizard, I guess.
Yeah, to the last lizard.
Yeah.
So yeah, as this hostility meter goes up, eventually you do get a reward. You get support from the motherland or the fatherland, whatever the Germans call it. Imperials.
Karl Franz himself.
Karl Franz himself, as well as the other elector counts. Depending on these little situations you get, you know, every once in a while in your campaign you run into, do you raise the hostility level by spreading propaganda, or do you choose to cut the military budget, which in turn raises the cost of your recruiting? And you have to choose one of these options. And in the beginning, it's choosing the one that raises your hostility is never an option, almost. But even just raising the cost of recruitment is very difficult when you do not start with a functioning economy whatsoever, really.
Yeah. No, and looking into like actually the breakdown when you get in the beginning, there's just like a couple grand right off the start that is just like additional money. So essentially you're being funded by the Empire because there's nothing there for you.
I didn't even realize that, honestly.
Yeah, it's just like, I mean, I guess you could kind of chalk it up to that, but it does just say like additional income.
Additional income. I imagine that's where it's coming from, because you're just, you know, there on, now that I'm looking at it, the Scorpion Coast with one, at least in the Vortex campaign, you have a major settlement. I know in Mortal Empires, it's just a minor settlement.
Yeah. And yeah, that's a whole conversation in itself.
Yeah, we'll get to that, because I'm very curious to the punishment you endured for the cause. So what's the great about these reinforcements is, at least in the beginning, I did not invest in any barracks or any kind of recruitment capacity. I was relying a lot on these reinforcements.
Okay.
Yeah, because I mean, it's the easiest access you have to the huntsman.
Yeah, exactly.
And to great swords. You know, you don't have to buy a blacksmith. You can usually get one unit of great swords and at least some halberdiers. And the halberdiers, you know, are going to be good against those, goddamn, those cold ones. I don't know what the mounted, you know, the source on the cold. You got velociraptors riding around.
Yeah, the cold ones, yeah. Or horned ones for the spear cavalry, yeah.
Yeah, see, those are the ones I didn't know the name of. I just know they had to die as fast as possible.
That was just okay, Huntsman. This is where you're shooting.
Yeah, it is. That's where the Huntsman is shooting, and that's where the mortars are as well. Once they stop moving.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. Yeah, you mentioned that. Like playing as the Lizardman, I never ever go cavalry. It's mostly infantry with like large units, because the cavalry just doesn't stand up to other cavalry, but in this scenario, they're really, really good.
No, I definitely noticed that. I mean, eventually I got I'm not a very cavalry-focused player, but I did get the regiment of renowned demigriff unit, and okay. I noticed that those stood up very well to those.
With the halberds, yeah.
Yeah. I knew just from, since I never get to, before this campaign, I never made it to the late game. I knew those were key, and those are a great way of stopping those cold ones.
Yeah, just because the cold ones are completely anti-infantry, so as soon as you put like large against large, and one of them has an anti-large bonus, it's they lose pretty quick.
I mean, but just those, when they have the when you already have your hostility to max level, those things will even deal severe damage to halberds and spearmen. They just tear
for sure, yeah. It's not even close.
It feels so unfair.
It is. It's hard. Like it's honestly the hardest campaign I think I've played, for sure.
I don't even know where we're going to go from here, but we'll get to that at the end of our show, because I mean, I have some ideas I want to kick back with you, but we'll get there. So the reinforcements is a very unique aspect to this campaign. And as you gain more acclaim, or the mandate, as you increase the mandate of the Empire, you start to get better quality of reinforcements, and that translates into ultimately tanks. And
okay.
I had my own tank regiment and artillery regiment going on, but those rockets that scream as they fly through the sky, those are amazing.
So you mostly went artillery.
Oh yeah. Well, in the beginning it was all infantry.
Okay.
And then I did all artillery because I wanted those tanks, baby.
I was super curious what you were gonna what your sort of thought was, because I actually played, because I literally lost 2 or 3 Mortal Empires campaigns before I got one that made it a decent time, past turn 100 anyway, because I tried out the cavalry, which doesn't really do too much. They just don't hold up, and the charging into the back of Lizardmen doesn't lower their leadership enough. Cycle charging
does jack shit.
Yeah, it just doesn't do it. You just actually have to kill them, because there's just no routing them. And I found, basically infantry for the first couple were definitely the way to go. And then after that, as soon as you can get rocket batteries, it's just spam them.
Definitely the rocket batteries. Although I did fairly well with. I know you get large cannons once you start getting the mandate up.
Yeah.
I had one large cannon, and then the Regiment of Renown one, which was like Witch Hunter. I don't know the exact title of it, but it fired magic cannonballs.
yeah, basically.
I don't know what the strategy is involving hunting witches with cannons, but I kind of like it.
It sounds badass at the very least.
I mean, I don't know how you guys do things up in Canada, but it sounds very American to me. Old American.
It's very like Salem sort of thing.
You burn your witches. We fire cannons at them from a distance.
Yeah.
You gotta stay away from Satan's influence and bombard it.
Yeah, the witch hunters definitely came up with that one.
Oh, they definitely did. I like the witch hunters.
Yeah.
But the Grenadiers were an excellent unit. I think they might have came with the same care package with the I can't remember off the top of my head, but those Grenadiers, man, the mounted ones.
Oh yeah, the Outriders, yeah.
Outriders.
Yeah, so, they're pretty key too, to be honest.
The cavalry, you can't flank with them, like you said. You charge into the back of them, they just turn around and start fighting both directions. It doesn't even matter to them.
Yeah.
But if you get those Outriders behind them and you lob a couple volleys of grenades in there, I mean, it doesn't matter if they fight to the last man, because it's great. Grenade launchers they're a great weapon. There's no way around it.
Yeah, super fun to use, super satisfying, and also actually a pretty decent strategy.
Yeah, I've used a grenade launcher in real life, but I've never had 30 guys on horseback, all with grenade launchers, firing into a massed group of cold-blooded, less than human things. And I got to imagine it's just as effective.
Yeah, I mean, they're pretty sweet. Definitely worth going once or twice, but you can't really spam them too much.
No, I think I ended up, I had 2, and then I fell down to 1. That basically lasted me almost until the last battle. But then I had I hated giving them up. It was difficult giving up any unit that I had gotten to, the max rank, I think. All gold chevrons.
Yeah.
You grow attached to those guys. Even this, I had the Sons of Sigmar, that Regiment of Renown. And, several swordsmen that had all reached that point. And eventually you have to give them up for, the great swords. And I still held on to them almost to the very end.
Yeah, it's just nostalgia's sake at that point.
Well, they did a good job. I mean, these same guys would be reduced to 10 guys almost every battle of the beginning.
Yeah. Probably none of the originals are actually there, but
I like to imagine there was one guy in each of the platoons who was hey, you weren't here in the beginning.
Got an eye patch and several face scars.
Doesn't have a nose anymore.
Yeah. To the scene when we tried to take Talaxla.
Now we're marching on Itza. I never thought I'd like the day. But anyway, I do want to get into the faction effects. So you got your reinforcements from the Empire. Hostile actions result in retaliation from the local factions, which we haven't brought up. How when you max that out, or we did touch on it briefly, it just spawns a whole army to come straight for you.
Yep. And I don't know how it works completely, but I know that I got one that had 2 Carnosaurs and a Dreadsaurian in it. And it like turned 50. Like, not something I could deal with it about that point at all.
Before I tell you my funny story, the first one I got, which was it was cute and did not give me the right impression. I had just an army of skinks come at me. Not even the javelin.
Yeah, no, that's what I was expecting. I was like, oh, like my hostility's going up. It's fine. I can deal with like a cudgel army. And then I was like, bam, there's some temple guards, some Saurus with shields and Dreadsaurian for you to deal with.
I definitely, I know what you're dealing with, and the game confused me at first because I had the first settlement I lost was to one of those armies, and I managed. It was a minor settlement that I had the walls up to tier 3, and even though I lost, I did. I think I got a valiant defeat. Like I I took out maybe their Carnosaurs, or I took a lot of their big stuff out, but what was left still overran me. And when I lost, they just razed the city and the army disappeared. And this never happened again. And I thought later on, when there's an army I couldn't deal with, I was just like, oh, I'll just let them raise that settlement and then they'll go away. And then I watched them burn the town down and just move on to the next one. And I was like, what?
That's weird. I wonder if it's like how many units they have left, because they must have been like beat down enough that was it.
No, I did a lot. I know that specific one. I might have taken out a lot of their big units. Like maybe one was left with very little health, but somehow I did the defense really well, and I just know I took out a lot of them. And then but that was the first settlement I lost, and I was just like, oh, so if I lose the settlement, they're just happy and they go back and party deep in the jungle. But I mean, if you don't do good, on the defense, they just keep steamrolling.
Yeah,
you got to send somebody to deal with that,
or just let them take enough settlements that they get ground down until they finally just can't take anymore.
Well, I had a system of cities that were all walled. I don't know how you did it.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Like anything I could build, as soon as something was tier 2, I was like, it's getting walls. Like it had to be pretty much.
Especially in the beginning. I learned from my previous playthroughs that just ended up in losses. I was like, wall up everything. Until you create some sort of perimeter, everything needs walls.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like playing as the dwarfs. You pretty much have to guard every settlement because everything's vulnerable.
Mm.
Yeah, it slows down the campaign a little bit, but it's worth it because you just don't lose nearly as many.
Yeah, I mean, when you get into the mindset of, I think, how it wants you to play, you are colonizing this place.
Yeah.
Walls are the first step to civilization, other than, I guess, crops or
basic necessities.
And let's see, I'm just laughing because it doesn't even matter. One of the faction effects is diplomatic relations -40 with the Lizardmen. It just keeps going down and down. I think the higher your mandate goes, eventually I think it reaches -200, or maybe it's not -200, but it's something ridiculous.
Yeah, you couldn't strike a deal with them if you wanted to.
No, none of them. Absolutely none of them. They hate your guts. I mean, why not? You're there to.
And the only thing you can do with Cult of Sotek, Tehanawan's faction, is money or declare war. There's no actual diplomacy with them available.
I didn't notice that. By the time I ran into Tehanawan, I was closing on Itza, and I got into kind of a. I'll get into that in how our campaign went later on. But by the time I ran into Hanowin, I had never even considered of even breaching peace with a lizard man. I kind of got in that mindset. They just caused me so many problems. Occasionally, what's his name, Gorok?
Mm-hmm.
He would offer peace to me, and I'd just be like, "Go screw yourself, man! You've been just such a pain in my side. I'm in it to win it." But
yeah, I think Gorok was the only one, like the Itza actual faction was the only one to even try to negotiate, other than declaring war or attacking me.
They didn't try to negotiate until I give them this. They were down into like their last like 3 territories before they even considered negotiating. Yeah,
it's only when they lose like basically everything.
They were very successful for a while. Anyway. So yeah, you can't really have much relations with the lizard men. I mean, you're there to conquer them. Let's be real here. You know, you got to make room for the warm bloods.
I think the penalty is honestly just to like drive home that sort of point, like where the game is pushing you towards.
Yeah, and that's the thing that makes this unique. You know, you're kind of given, you know, a unique. Each one of these legendary lords have, I think, a unique playstyle that it's guiding you towards and asking you to explore. Like the thing that you mentioned to me when you first responded to my Reddit post was that you like to try and roleplay the different lores, and that's exactly what I try to do. You know, it's not your average Total War game where, you know, everybody has you know, it's not like the real world. We're all human beings. No, you got some rat men, you get some immortal vampire pirate lords. I mean, if I was a vampire pirate lord, I'd probably have a unique lifestyle as well.
Yeah. There's an entire culture of emo elves in the north.
Emo does not put it's not strong enough to describe. They're trying so hard to be edgy. But I'll get to my story with Morthai. That was a big war. Okay, so we've gone through, you know, the race attributes, the faction effects, the lord effects. He's got a plus 50% ambush defense chance, a plus 50% ambush success chance. Did you use ambushes at all? Because I found those to be incredibly powerful in this campaign, at least in the beginning.
Yeah, like I definitely had to bait some attacks out for sure and use the ambush mechanic, because there's just no other way to defeat them. Like especially with Mortal Empires, you have to basically take Talaxla and Talaxlan like to complete your province, and there's no doing that because they'll just keep a 20 stack inside their main settlement, and there's no way for you making 2,000 gold and just barely able to hold on to a 20 stack of like archers is going to be able to deal with that, right? So you do have to lure them out and use that to your advantage for sure.
Excuse me. No. When I first started playing this game, I don't know why I never did it before. Maybe it was because I was coming out of medieval, but I feel like could you ambush a medieval 2 Total War? I can't believe how many hours I put into it, and I've already forgotten it.
I don't think so. I know in Rome you can, but it's not super easy to deal. Like it's not easy to do. You really have to like commit to like a certain character being able to do that. If I remember correctly.
Maybe that's why in this game I never realized how powerful it was until I started watching, you know, streamers and other players, because even especially with the lizardmen, attacking them from both sides doesn't really have much of an effect. It just doesn't matter. But the good thing is that by going into ambush stance, the AI doesn't watch your turn like you can watch the AI's turn. Like if the AI goes into ambush stance, you can watch them run their little army out and then just disappears.
Yeah. Where did they go?
Yeah, I don't know. Let's go march single file into that valley.
Yeah, exactly.
But ambush is really powerful for is that if you get a 20 stack sitting in a city that, even if it only has like 8 units in there, like the basics, that's still they got numerical superiority, and being lizard men, let's face it, it pains me to say, but lizards might be superior than human beings, at least physically. So when you go to ambush stance, the AI thinks you've just vanished, and they don't take that into account, that just this 20 stat, all these regiments have just disappeared into the jungle.
Yeah.
And having that high stat, it will lure them out, and even if the ambush fails, at least you're dealing with them out in the open field.
Yeah.
And that's a hell of a lot better of trying to rush a city, or to even deal with potentially like a 28 stack, or worse, like something more than that.
Yeah. It stops you from recruiting 20 witch hunters to damage their walls before you even go in.
Oh God. I am great. That's why I invested in those heavy cannons, or the large cannons.
Yeah.
Thank God. Take out the towers, open up a wall, and go from there.
Yeah.
I never really I'm not much of a. The only witch hunter I actually had was God. I'll look up his name in a minute.
Hertwig.
Yeah. Let's see what I got here. Yeah, Hertwig von Hall. Of the Halls. Yeah, he was the only witch hunter I had. Even though I had a bunch of pubs, laying around, keep everybody in my new colonies happy.
They're not super useful, but yeah. Anyway.
But yeah, so the ambush, having that as one of your strengths. If anybody out there has played as the Empire before, that's pretty unique as far as the legendary lords go. Usually the Skaven are really the ambush masters.
Yeah, I mean, like you can use it as pretty much anyone technically that has an ambush stats, but for the most part, yeah, like the Huntsmarshal's expedition plays completely different to the Empire. Like when I'm playing Karl Franz, it's mostly like line up some spearmen, throw some rocket batteries behind them, and like let them come to you. But this one, you definitely have to be a little bit more aggressive in the playstyle for sure.
Yeah, and being as many of the factions that I've played, I almost never face the lizard men, and that's why when I first tried this out, I gave up on it pretty quickly. Fighting the lizardmen is not fighting like the Skaven. The Skaven sent thousands of guys at you, and you just like, I'll kill a couple hundred of them, and the rest will run.
Yeah.
Nope. Not at all. No, not at all.
No, it's fun when you're playing them, but playing against them with objectively worse units is not a good time.
Not at all. So the last Lord effect that I haven't covered is 50% upkeep off on archers and huntsmen, which I thought was pretty garbagey at first, since I didn't know this game that well, and I really underestimated the huntsmen. That was a mistake.
Yeah.
But having 50% off on those guys, it's all about the money at first, because you're only making your money from battles and by ransoming people.
Right. And I believe that's only on Marcus's army. I don't think that's faction wide.
Yeah, that is definitely only on Marcus's army.
Yeah. Yeah, because archers are like somewhat viable in the beginning. They are new with this DLC, but if you can get them, crossbows are better. But like with the huntsman generals and Marcus himself, you can get some decent bonuses to actually make them viable for the early game.
Yeah, I think there's a trait I unlocked with Marcus that actually lets them shoot twice every time they shoot.
It's one of his later traits, but it's up there.
Oh,
I think
man.
it does the same for huntsman though.
Oh yeah, well, I don't think I got a huntsman general up high enough to unlock that, but definitely on him, you can put down a stegodon fairly fast if you get 5 units of those. Like
especially yeah. But you weren't using huntsman general? You mostly went empire generals?
No, I lost a lot of generals.
Fair enough.
Marcus himself, I don't think I ever lost a battle with him, just because. But like my other armies that I was raising to deal with, those, what was the spirit of the jungle coming to get me? Those were the armies that I would lose for the most part. It was a long time before I got a secondary army up that was consistent. But once I got a second like main army, then I was mid-game around there, and even that didn't last. That's Marathi took care of that.
Yeah, but I honestly found the Huntsman generals aren't super viable. Like I said, playing with the Empire, like playing as Karl Franz, I'd rather go with an Empire general. But the Huntsmans are really, really good just because of that +3 recruit rank.
Yeah, the +3 recruit rank was basically the only reason why I would take them. And I think I got another trait. I don't know if it's a trait I picked up somewhere or leveled up into, but it got them up to, I think, another rank as well.
Yeah.
And that basically made it no question. I mean, having a general that starts off at like rank 4, even, or rank 3, those are traits that you're gonna need: extra campaign movement, extra leadership, all these. Some of the things too, like right off the bat, you can give your spearmen and halberds like bonus versus large, which giving a cheap unit even more power against the. Let's face it, the units that are going to give you the most trouble.
Yeah, and it does make. I think they have like a plus to campaign movement and to campaign line of sight, so you do get that like right off the bat, as well as a range increase for archers and huntsmen. Again, just makes archers viable.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see Markus Wulfhart working really anywhere as well as in Lustria, just the way they created them, because those huntsmen, being bonus versus large, I don't even think I've really gotten even far enough in a faction. Like I said, I never really get to late game, but I never really used large units. I've never gotten to that point. And so when I see bonus versus large, I'm like, oh, just the cavalry. That's what spearmen are for. I don't need archers who are good at that.
Yeah. No, it's a nice little touch. Like, it does make perfect sense in the end, but and the huntsman generals themselves actually have anti-large as well, which is really, really nice because they're basically artillery pieces in themselves.
Definitely. Well, now I'll bring it up. The final kind of key feature to this faction is you get a couple of heroes that are unique to this faction, and they come from different walks of life. Shall we say, you got Kalara the Wood Elf Waystalker, as we mentioned before, Hertwig von Howl, the Empire Witch Hunter, Roderick L'Engil.
Close enough.
Roderick L'Engil. I'm getting worse each time I try it. He's the Bretonnian Paladin, and Jorek Grimm, the Dwarven Master Engineer. And really, in no other faction with no other lord are you going to get heroes that are as a mix as diverse as this group.
Yeah, and 4 like immortal heroes is pretty essential. Like, just because you can get, especially Jorek and Hertwig, basically in the first couple of turns. It makes a big difference early on, especially with Jorek Grimm's bonuses to range units.
You would think. I think I got these in a very strange order.
Okay.
Well, I'll go with my favorite because she was amazing in conjunction with Marcus. Kalara the Wood Elf Waystalker. She's in Lustria. Memory serves. Her former fiance or her partner. He pissed off some Wood Elf god. I forget how he did it. If you remember, stop me.
Not off the top of my head, but yeah.
So he sufficiently aggravated this god that every time he dies, he comes back. His soul is trapped in some sort of beast that Kalara must hunt down in order to free him from. But the problem is, every time she kills a beast that his soul is trapped into, it just moves into an even more terrible beast. And you don't find this out at first when you first meet her, but that's essentially why she's in Lustria, is she's trying to track down the latest incarnation of her love's, monster prison, I guess you could put it. And the reason why I liked her the most, I unlocked her for just because I decided not to screw with the vampire coast right away. I was I'm going to deal with... let me see. Who am I at war with first? Loxton? Loxton? Yeah, I was... I don't speak dinosaur. So I was like, I'm going to deal with the Tloxtons first. I'm not going to worry about anything else. So, you start on the Scorpion Coast on that one city. You got to move east. And I can't believe you remember the names of these cities. But, but I did my initial battle. And then I tracked them down to the east. And then I moved to the south to take their capital. And by that point, I think I had acquired Kalara. And her and Markus are great snipers.
Yeah, Kalara's definitely I think she has a duelist under her name, basically. But yeah, she's really good for taking out enemy lords and heroes.
I wouldn't know about her being a duelist because I just had her sniping away with Markus.
She just shot stuff.
Yeah, she had this great, power. I don't. It was a magic missile type thing. But the range on it is like across the map. I don't know if it's because I got her legendary weapon, but as soon as the match started, I'd fire one of those right at the Lord.
Yeah, because I think her weapon is called Dawn, and that's like her second sort of portion of her story, so it does come pretty quickly, and it's pretty powerful. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, most of what progresses is her story is just by leveling her up, which is very easy in this campaign.
Yeah, I found actually I kind of used her as a mix of like a duelist, like taking out enemy lords, and I also used her as an agent here and there. And she I got her leveled up really quickly just by assaulting enemy units and assassinating other heroes.
Yeah, I didn't personally myself. I didn't dare. Once I figured out how useful she was in my army, I not until the end game did I use her as an agent. Only because I had maxed out everything else in her.
Yeah. She's never done it, but she's really good at assaulting units.
So I take it you got Hertwig von Hall first?
Yeah, I found I did the same sort of thing, and I didn't declare war on an extra person right off the bat, but I found the mutineers send an army east to fight the Awakened, Luther Harkin's faction right away, and I found they didn't really have much of a fight to put up. Not that I was going that way, but they weren't going to send anything my way anyway. So I found declaring war was pretty easy, and if that didn't happen, on one of my campaigns they got defeated. The faction was destroyed within half a dozen turns, so it wasn't a big deal there. And I sent him, which I think is a fairly common strategy, just sent him straight to the Spine of Sotek to get Yorick.
I think it was a mistake on my part because I didn't wait until I naturally got my army down there, basically.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, because it's just one. It doesn't have to be an army, it just has to be,
No, I know. I know.
I'm aware.
Well, on my first playthroughs, I was like, I should get these heroes as quick as humanly possible. And it was probably because I was newer at the game and I just wasn't doing the right things, but I ended up losing those campaigns. So I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to play safe. I'm really going to just try and have only one enemy at a time and keep my heroes together because I realized how powerful they can because Hertwig von Hall has a pretty, he makes a great team with Markus and Kalara. I think it's Accusation. It's something that lowers a ton of stats onto, any entity.
Yeah, it's like minus 40 melee defense or something like that. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I mean, the AI, fortunately, is pretty suicidal with their lords and generals. I don't know what it is. Like I was mentioning before, the first time I faced Marathi, I did fine. She just came down on her Black Pegasus into a swarm of Hailbirds. I was just like, okay, so you want to die.
Cool. Thank you for dealing with that for me.
Yeah, but that accusation is great, and I just I don't know how effective it is calling screaming heresy at a lizard man who can't even understand your language, but
Yeah.
I guess it was just as effective as the conquistadors yelling it in Spanish at the Incans,
Probably, yeah. So you used him like mostly as part of your army comp.
Until I did phase him out into a full-on agent, and when I did, he was devastating. At some points, he had like I would go to destroy walls, and he just had 100% success rate. Like it wasn't even an option of failure. It's just like, oh yeah, I'll take down the whole damn thing.
Yeah. With the bonuses he gets, and then also if you happen to get like a couple of followers, you can pretty much get like 100% assassination chance, like damage rolls. Yeah, whatever. He's a superpower.
Oh yeah, he was my agent cleaning. He was the assassin of assassins, man. I'd see. Yeah. Oh, you want to send some agents into my territory? That's okay. Hertwig will take care of that for me. Those guys over there, they're into some heresy, man. Just go take care of that.
Yeah. And next up, we've got Roderick, unpronounceable last name.
Inge.
Who I didn't use as an agent at all because he's a big old tank.
Yeah, terrible agent.
Yeah, definitely not worth it. He's got pretty much a singular use, which is just to throw him in to something that you want to break.
Yeah, I would have him standing about 6 feet in front of my front line and just wait for stuff to gather around him. Yeah,
he makes a great like holder just for Huntsman to like. He'll delay a unit of Saurus while Huntsman will take him out pretty effectively.
None of the. I mean, the stories. Roderick's story kind of stood out to me a little bit. I don't remember much. I'll be honest. Like some of these heroes, like Jorek, he didn't stand out to me. I like that you get a gyrocopters from him. Who doesn't want air support?
There you go.
But Roderick's, I remember reading his little story as you're unlocking it, and basically Marcus does see him when Roderick first arrives with a bunch of Bretonians, and they buy up a bunch of supplies, and then they just go marching off into the jungle, thinking the lady will protect them.
Yeah.
And Roderick is the only survivor by the time I think Marcus finds him. And there was something about a Bretonian paladin, just the way they behave, like, French nobles, just thinking, I heard about this place named Lustria. Have I heard about the lady?
Yeah.
And just this one night, he's not dressed up like the other knights in Bretonia. He doesn't have a horse, which I like. I like my lords to be on foot, or dragons. It's either on foot or dragons.
Either or.
Yeah, either or. I'm kind of, I'm an in or an out kind of guy. But he does not look, as a knight, he looks pretty shabby. I don't know if this ever crossed your mind, but he's got a very drab uniform. Like, there's nothing colorful about him, like normal Bretronians.
Yeah, he definitely looks a little haggard, we'll say.
I mean, actually, maybe that's why everybody he knew, at least, that he went on this crusade with is dead. And I know he talks about people just being sucked into the swamp by these creatures, and all that was spit out was like bones and blood and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, this sounds like a nightmare.
Pretty much.
I mean, I've been to deserts before, but I'm really glad I've never been to a jungle, nor do I ever really want to go to.
Especially one filled with velociraptors with obsidian claws.
I do want to bring up, I always joke with my wife that I want the world to be at the point where my midlife crisis can be, dropping off on an island with like a shotgun and hunting raptors or something. You know, that's what I want my midlife crisis to be. I don't know what your dream is, but that's mine.
It hadn't really crossed my mind, but end up like that guy from Jurassic Park.
Well, you know, like, you know, some guys are like, oh, I'm gonna buy a Corvette. You know, when they think everything is, I don't know, however life gets, but I'm like, nah, I want to hunt raptors. That's what I want to do.
Same with Roderick, pretty much now.
Yeah, same with Roderick. Yeah, he's got that same vengeance burning in his heart. I don't know if he remembered his vow to the lady, but he's just, or maybe it's part of it. He's there to kill everything with scales, I guess.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, like to me, his story was not that interesting just because it was very one-dimensional. Like, lost his army, obviously upset, and just same sort of thing as Marcus, just wanting to seek vengeance, pretty much.
Yeah, I don't know why it stuck out to me, but the other one that definitely stood out was the Hertwigs. Him being a doctor, but from a line of witch hunters. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, and they're all kind of interesting, like that they were just brought in for this one campaign.
Well, I mean, the biggest interest is what other campaign are you going to get a wood elf, you know, a witch hunter, a Bretonnian paladin, and a dwarven engineer, you know, on the same team.
Exactly. Closest you can get is what's that dwarf's name that you can get from the Empire? Jorek?
No, well, that's on this campaign.
No,
Jorek,
that's not campaign. What's the?
That's from that story I haven't read.
There you go.
If you had asked me at any other time, I would know this.
Yeah.
Damn.
Oh well.
Anyway, so you said you got Jorek pretty early. Did you? By the time I got him, I was basically just sticking him in an army to level him up, because he does give your army a lot of ammunition and extra range. And
yeah, maxed out. He does. I think it ends up being about 12 or 15% more missile damage. Plus, you get same sort of thing with range, which is a big deal for archers, especially early on, because you can get that perk pretty early. You end up with extra ammunition, and then he's got a couple of different abilities that can alter, basically give your troops more damage with missiles as well.
Yeah, and he gives you extra campaign movement range, which I don't think any of the other main heroes give you.
Just maybe Huntsman Generals do. I thought they did. A little bit.
Well, Huntsman Generals have it, you know, like normally leveling up, but I mean like heroes.
Oh, you're talking about like the increased mobility, yeah.
Yeah, because you know you get like extra 10% on that first campaign movement speed, and then an extra 15% from the dwarven engineer, and then whatever else you get from being the traits you pick up for being in forced march or your followers and whatnot.
Yeah.
And getting to move around quickly on this campaign is vital, because it seems like as soon as you start succeeding in one direction, that's when you max out the hostility, and it's just going to put the spirit of the jungle on the other side of the map, basically.
Yeah. And your movement range in the early game is abysmal.
You cannot get through that jungle. Forced march, it doesn't matter.
You can't even track down the first army in Mortal Empires. I'm not too sure how it was in Vortex. I think you can finish them off.
I don't even think you can, because I remember chasing them. Because they fled. I couldn't destroy them all in the first battle. I remember this quite clearly. I did do a lot of damage, but with what I had left, because that first battle is still so hard, I was not as successful as you. That Bastiladon just came right for my main line.
Yeah, I got lucky.
Yeah, and I was like, okay, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to sit on the edge of my property, and I'm just going to recruit. And by the time I finished doing that, it was still I couldn't chase them down. I know they got back to their city, or the minor settlement, and I had to fight them there.
Yeah, you pretty much have to take the first battle, damage them as much as you can, wipe out as many units as possible, and then just retreat back to like friendly territory and recruit until you have something that can venture past your own province.
I am anxious to discuss how our campaigns went, but do you have anything else for Jorek the Grim? Like I said, he was like a purely. By the time I got him, I was close. I kid you not, I was probably like just past 50% through of my campaign, and
Really?
just getting him was just to supplement my ammunition. And I mean, those great qualities he definitely has to add to your army. But
Yeah, because for me, it was just I was clinging to him. Like every time he got a level up, I was like 6% onto my missile damage.
I wish I had him early on. I definitely. Because like I said, he was the last one I got, and it was so late into the game when I got him. I mean, I got him through his quest very quickly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you pretty much have to have materials, and that's pretty much it.
Oh yeah, I had a fair bit of the northern half of Lustria conquered almost by the time I got him.
Gotcha.
Okay. Yeah. So I think now is the time that we talk about our campaigns. And the one thing that I found interesting was I thought I was going to be unique because when we first talked about Warhammer, you expressed how you really liked the Mortal Empires map.
Yeah.
And I had kind of just found a new appreciation for the Vortex campaign since I never touched it since getting the game. And I was like, oh, this is the perfect kind of legendary lore to try in Vortex. It's very unique, and he seems explicitly designed for the Vortex map. How did your Mortal Empires go?
Poorly.
Poorly. How many attempts?
I think 6 before I actually landed something that lasted a fair bit. I got to play a little bit more than I probably would have just because of self-isolation, but yeah, it took me a couple tries for sure, just because you can't be aggressive at all in the beginning. The start with Mortal Empires is very different from the Vortex. Having played both, the beginning to Vortex is so much easier besides the first battle. Just because you can basically take another settlement within a couple turns, right?
Yeah.
On the Vortex. With Mortal Empires, you're on the coast, but you're kind of in the thick of it too. And basically you have to go for Talaxlan right away, who is obviously... Sorry, go ahead.
Well, there's legendary lords all over the place down there.
Yeah, like Talaxlan isn't even that big a deal, but as soon as you're past that, you're going against Gorok, there's Tehenowin, Luther Harkon's probably found you at some point. Hexawaddle will find you at some point, and Mazda Money does not like you. And then I forget, I think they're called the Sentinels of Zespi or something like that. The purple like Discord lizardmen. Like pretty much the only people who will even talk to you are the Spine of Sotek dwarves.
Were you able to make in the Mortal Empires? I think the colonies are they a faction too? Do they have like one city?
They have 2, but they start right by Skeggy, which is like a Norskin NPC faction, and then right beside Hexawaddle. So they last a couple turns, to be honest. They don't last very long, and their diplomacy is lower with you than it is in the Vortex.
I can't. That's. I struggle to understand why that is. Is it just to make it even harder?
It honestly, yeah, like every aspect of it feels difficult. Like it doesn't feel like you have much for break. Because in Vortex, I got a trade agreement with those guys, which isn't a huge amount of gold, but it's something within a couple turns. Whereas in Mortal Empires, you pretty much lose any hope of that happening just because they get destroyed, and also you're probably not getting a trade agreement for that. And like I said, you just don't have that sort of buffer that you do on Vortex. So it's very much into the thick of it. you have to have a big army, and you're gonna have to throw back waves of lizardmen just to make like one step.
No, especially, I mean, since everything's more condensed, like even let's say Luther Harkon just wants to take a go at you. I mean, he's right there. On Vortex, he kind of has to fight through some territory before he really gets to you.
Yeah. Like I said, he pretty much goes through Vampire Coast Mutineers pretty quick. And honestly, like from my experience playing both this campaign and as like Tehenoan, he's got bigger things to deal with than going after the Huntsmarshal's expedition usually. But it also prevents you from going a certain direction because you just don't want another war, especially with something like Luther Harkon right away.
Definitely minimizing the amount of enemies is key. It seems like no matter what for Luther, because there's really nobody to make friends with other than those colonies, and a couple hundred gold in trade at the time does feel pretty good. At least when I got it, I was like, oh, somebody finally a friendly face here.
Yeah, I'm not too sure if it was the same for you, but on my Vortex campaign, like Itza and Hexawaddle did declare war on me at some point, or they got brought into a war. Whereas with Mortal Empires, as soon as either of them discovered me, every single time they declare war. Like Hexawaddle's couple provinces north of you, and they're just like, nah. Right away.
Can't tolerate this.
Yeah, it's not even like they're actually gonna come get you. It's just like another kick in the balls essentially, because it's just like, hey, we're gonna fight you too, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, on Vortex, I was aware of them for a while before they even decided to have a go at me. I kind of, it seems surprising because, like I said, I tried the Mortal Empires one time, and I think I got wiped out within 10 turns.
Yeah, it's really hard. Like we were talking about the ambushes earlier. I literally had to draw the first faction you're fighting, like Talaxlan, into an ambush just to deal with their main army, and then it was really hard just to take their main settlement, and then as soon as I had it, I had to hold on to it.
I know what you mean, because even on the Vortex campaign, you know, I don't have the name of the city. It's so you have your starting settlement on the Scorpion Coast, and you move east to that minor settlement. After the first battle, that what was left of their army kind of ran that way into that minor settlement there.
Right.
And so after I managed to defeat them there, I had to move back down south to take their, I think it was they had the main city. Let me open it up. Maybe I can get the name of that one to the south of your major settlement.
Yeah, it should be Talaxla, because in Vortex they don't start with that settlement, but in Mortal Empires they start with 2. So they're a little bit more difficult to deal with that way, because you basically the first battle you fight that minor army, and they go in the way of Talaxla, and then like straight south of your first settlement is Talaxlan, which is their like capital and the capital of the province you're in.
Yeah, damn. Yeah, you nailed it. So east is, so you're in the Temple of Tlencan as your starting location. The army you face on Vortex, after you fight them, if they're still alive, which for me they ran a Chotek. Yeah. So I dealt with them there, and I was like, okay. Usually I declare war on the mutineers to get Hertwig, but I was like, I'm not going to do that this time. I'm gonna win. Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go deal with their major settlement, Talaxlan, and that takes a couple turns just to get down there.
Yeah, like accompanied with your horrible movement range, there's not a whole lot.
And in all that time it takes you to get there, they're raising another.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's no taking care of that first army. It's just gonna like get damage as much as you can, and then pretty much that's it.
I remember this battle, Talaxlan, because I literally had huntsmen and archers taking that city, because all the swordsmen that I threw at it were wiped out, and it was just down to the archers climbing the walls and taking what was left. That's how many casualties I took.
Yeah, I had to like damage the walls first of all with Hurtwig, and then like lure them all into like one big thing so my huntsman could shoot over the walls into them.
You did the smart thing. I had them climbing ladders and stuff. I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking. Everything's. Oh, go ahead.
No, I like to roleplay up until the point where I know I'll lose a battle if I do, which is when the cheese comes out.
Yeah, the cheese god is a false idol, my friend.
Yeah.
Heresy. Yeah. No, I understand. I definitely, when I saw the first time I saw Legend of Total War, just stacking a bunch of archers and standing them at the corner and like firing them in, I was like, oh, so that's how you deal with that.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Well, like before you get artillery, there's just not a whole lot you can do because lizardmen have pretty solid towers, even at like level 1 or 2. They will rip apart your infantry. Man,
screw those towers. They awful. It's unfair. They've got alien technology.
I mean, at the very least, they have horrible missile infantry. So
at least they have that, but
yeah,
even still,
there's not a whole lot of negatives to the lizardmen, really.
No, I want to play as them soon. Anyway, I'll talk about that later. So you had I've had at least a couple failed attempts on Mortal Empires and Vortex. You tried out Mortal Empires recently. Mm-hmm. Did you decide just to do Vortex? Like, what made you switch from Mortal Empires to Vortex, or was there any reason in particular, or was it just the ridiculous, just, I don't know, behavior of the AI and the curb stomping it just wanted to give you?
I mean, it pretty much came down to I had time, and also I was tired of getting beat, and I wanted to see if Vortex was going to be any different. Just because Mortal Empires really felt hopeless. Like, even as I got some settlements and like gained a little bit of ground, it was still just like a tide, and it every aspect of the campaign felt like you're not supposed to be there. So yeah, I just wanted to switch to Vortex when I had a fairly done Mortal Empires campaign, just to sort of compare and contrast the two.
Oh, so you did get pretty far in the Mortal Empires campaign.
Yeah, I got pretty far. I don't think I'd end up going much farther just because I haven't dealt with most of the Lizardmen factions. It's just that I happen to have a decent amount of territory. And the characters, like the special heroes that come with the campaign, were through their sort of campaigns, like their individual stories.
So the Vortex one is the one that I played beginning to end. I didn't do the Mortal Empires this one. So I told you the story of how my archers are the ones who took Talaxlan.
Yeah.
They were the conquerors. From here, I did not want to deal with the what are they? The mutineers.
Right.
I didn't want to deal with them. I know they're to my east, but I was like, at this time, the Savage Orcs just declared war on me, and I know they're bastards. Like, they are not easy to deal with. I think they got physical resistance or ward save or something that makes them even more resilient. But they started coming for me right after I took Talaxlan.
Yeah, the Blue Vipers are much worse than Mortal Empires. Like, Vortex, they're kind of like
worse?
They're worse. Like, for me, like, Vortex Blue Vipers were actually pretty easy just because they went like southwest, like other side of the spine of Sotek. So I kind of had a barrier to sort of get my footing before they came over. But yeah, like, and it also helps that Empire is a little bit more geared to dealing with greenskins rather than lizardmen.
I must have gotten unlucky because I know I fought a huge battle against 2 stacks of them, when I was at like max hostility, and it was
Wow.
like the Alamo. That was it was great because I have Markus Wulfhart standing there at the end with like his huntsman, but like nobody else was left. Like, was that your main enemy that you went after on the Vortex? Because they came straight for me. Like they sent 2 stacks at me, or 1 stack, and then another one was shortly behind it.
For Vortex, no, like Blue Vipers were pretty easy to deal with. In Mortal Empires, for sure, they were one of the big ones. But Vortex, they were fairly easy. But I think that's just the difference between campaigns, because I think they're meant to be a bit more of a pain.
So where did you go kind of first on Vortex? Like I said, I went to, I took Talox, your initial province, Taloxland, and then I started moving west into the Blue Vipers because they came for me. So I was like, well, if they're going to come for me and the Buccaneers haven't come at me yet, I'm just going to try. My first kind of grand strategy was like, I'm going to build a land bridge over to the colonies.
Yeah, I did go west. Yeah, I did move into there and then kind of south. I didn't really push north just because there was still that barrier between me and Hexawatl. It was actually just in Vortex, it's if the Blue Vipers aren't there and don't take care of it, there's just a bunch of empty ruins. So you actually don't really have to worry about it. And I was able to go and secure them later on, but for the time, it just provided me like a barrier and line of sight from people in the north.
See, where you use them as a barrier, I was like, I pursued the Blue Vipers all the way north because they had colonized a couple of ruins. Like,
okay,
I know they had colonized a couple before I got to them. I think I did colonize Exla. I don't know how to pronounce that. The settlement, the ruins immediately west of Taloxland. I know I colonized that.
Yeah,
but they took over the entire like stretch of land up into the colonies, and they were starting to give the colonies some crap with a small army that they were sending their way. Hexawatl, believe it or not, had formed I don't know if they had a non-aggression pact with the New World colonies, but they were not enemies. And as soon as I took out the Blue Vipers, that's when Hexawatl decided to come at me.
Yeah,
and that was like my first major war was with the Blue Vipers, and then right after that, I was pushing north into Hexawatl.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't really fight Mazdamundi too much. It's kind of funny that you mentioned they had a non-aggression pact with the New World colonies, because I think when I played Vortex Mazdamundi, I don't think you start with the non-aggression pact, but you can get it the first turn. Like they're pretty willing to go for it.
I mean, it makes sense. They've got like nothing protecting them, and the Skegi are there causing trouble. So maybe, and I see they have 3 settlements on the first turn of the Vortex campaign. So maybe that's what makes Hexawatl target them first. Because they're more of a power.
Yeah. Like playing as that campaign, they definitely are the first sort of hurdle to get over.
That would be interesting. I wish there was a legendary lord that you could play as one of the Norskins on a Vortex campaign. I think
I just want a Norskin version of this campaign where instead of like hunting beast, you're just trying to raise everything.
Well, yeah, and conquer all the port towns. I think it could be interesting.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Or why the NPC factions are.
Yeah. So, like I said, I went north towards Hexawatl and fighting Mazdamundi. I must have killed Mazdamundi like 3 times himself before I managed to conquer the whole place.
Oh yeah, just farming his defeat attribute.
I wasn't trying to farm him, man. It was I was trying to take the place, and taking that with one army, I would take one city, and he still had enough. I don't know if it was cash or, I'm raising the hostility level every time I get a victory.
Yeah,
but he just kept it took me a little while to wipe them off the map.
Yeah, I just couldn't comment because I never actually had to fight him. You declared war on me, but the only time I ended up in a battle with him was in Mortal Empires when he actually did come down south to fight me.
So my phase 2 was kind of fighting the Blue Vipers. Did you said you dealt with them a little bit in Vortex? Like, did you leave them alive? Can you go into detail for that?
I didn't really leave them alive. They were just kind of south and like west on the other side of those mountains.
Really?
And they'd gone all the way down. There's that one settlement like halfway through the spine that you can access from either side. Sort of that break. They had gone all the way down there. So, and like I said, they hadn't actually colonized the ruins that spawn right next to them. So they'd just gone like straight south in a line, basically. So I kind of like cut them off from where like everything they had in the north and then just went straight down. And they didn't put up too much of a resistance other than like a couple raiding camps that I had to go out of my way for, essentially.
It seems so bizarre to me. The Blue Vipers were so difficult. I kid you not. Like, they did not go south. They just came at me. Like,
I think they're supposed to. I think I just got lucky.
No, I think it's interesting because I did not pursue them. Did you kind of pursue them south through the mountains and kind of take those territories?
Yeah, because no one had really declared war on me. Like, I wasn't obviously great diplomatic standing with the Lizardmen, but no one had sort of made a move on that front other than me taking out Talansla. So it was just me against the Blue Vipers, and that's the only person I had to fight. So them not having a whole lot of power, it was pretty much easy territory for me to take.
No, it makes sense because I know the Blue Vipers don't have friends, really. I mean,
no, it's the same sort of thing. Like, they're just, I mean, it's greenskins. They're just kind of making a fuss of everything.
Well, there's a lot of temples and gold for them to take, and I don't know. Yeah, I do like having Savage Orcs so close. It does. It's a good mix-up because later on, I just fought so many Lizardmen. I was just... I would look at those stacks of armies that had Carnosaurs and the Stegodons that had I call it the Hand of God. The ones that can call down that laser from the sky.
Oh, yeah, the Ancients with the... I think it's called Engine of the Gods?
Yeah, that's the one.
So much fun when you get like 4 of them in an army, but facing it is horrible. It's so... Yeah, there's just nothing you can do when they have 3 beefed up flaming heads that they can like throw at you per battle.
I would be in such a great defensive position, and then that would just come down from the sky, and I was just like, I just put my face in my hands. I was like, "There's no point. They're all gone."
You just watch the balance of power slowly get more red.
Not even slowly, man. I swear to God, that thing would jump sometimes.
Yeah, probably with that thing.
I see. I find it interesting that you went south because hold on. What's the female Tomb King? What's it? Nefer.
Libaris is the name of the faction. Her name is. Yeah.
Well, what's her name again? I can't remember her name.
I'd have to look it up.
Damn loading screens. Oh, hold on. I got it. Khalida.
Khalida. Yeah, there you go.
So Khalida had actually... She was the first Tomb King I kind of ran into. She was the one who kind of moved up through that direction.
Yeah.
I bumped into her, and she had kind of taken over those mountains at first, and I had a non-aggression pact with her pretty early on. I was just like, I don't even want to screw with no Tomb Kings at this point. And she sat there for a while, and eventually the dwarves of the spine of Sotek, I think, or I don't know, you know, that they actually, I don't know what problems she was dealing with in the south. It must have been Tehenowin, but the dwarves were the ones who finally took her out. I was non-aggression pact with her for a while. I could never trade with her because she just didn't have what she needed. Yeah, and then all of a sudden I saw the dwarves like swarming her, and I was like, what the hell's going on down there? And then she lost that settlement and she was gone. I was like, what the hell did she do? She she had moved as far north that, for me to see her, and then something happened. It must have been, the lizard men. Yeah.
What happened with Teclis in your campaign? Because like I said earlier, he just straight up declared war on me basically as soon as I met him.
When did you meet him? Because I did not meet him until late game. It must have been like turn 70 or so before I even bumped into him.
Probably around like turn 30 or 40. It was shortly after I'd finished the Blue Vipers. So I was like pretty far down south in the spine of Sotek.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. You went south because after I went west, I went north up to the Dark Elves, right? I took out Mazdamunde. I stopped right where the climate border is. And I was trying like hell to establish a non-aggression pact with Marathi. I was like, I do not want to fight these things.
Please.
And then, they kept turning me down. And I was like, that's okay. I'll fortify and build walls up here. And then I'll turn my attention. But once I finished up north, instead of going south, because I had nothing coming at me from that direction except, the Khalida, and she was okay with me, I was like, now's the time to move back east and, take out the pirates.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I did not run into, the lore masters until I would say turn 100.
Oh, okay. So you're both pretty like solidified, or is Teclis down to like one sort of settlement?
Teclis had, I think, started moving. I'm looking at it now. I just brought up my like last turn on the campaign. Okay. And it looks like he's held on to his islands, that he starts out on.
Yep.
He must have moved northeast, but then been cut off by Tehenowin. Because he's got like all the areas where Clan Pestilence would have.
Oh, yeah.
Like he's got all that territory. So, and I know in my campaign, Clan Pestilence confederated Ikiclaw.
Yep, mine did the same thing.
I did not see that coming. I would have thought that Ikiclaw, Clan's Scryer, right, would have been the more powerful one.
It's weird that it happened in yours too, because I've never seen it like playing Vortex anywhere else. I've never seen that happen. But my Vortex campaign literally turned into like me versus Skrulk, because that was who was left.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Basically, Lustria was split between the two of us.
So I'm trying to build a mental picture here. So you went west, fought the Blue Vipers, and then south with where they had kind of extended to. You ran into the Lore Masters. They did not like me when eventually I did bump into him. But I think because we both had common enemies, like they were fighting, the Cult of Sotek and Skrulk, that they did like me for that. I couldn't even get a non-aggression pact with them, but they did want to trade with me because they're frickin' elves, and
right.
I had a ton of resources, so that's what I gave them.
Yeah.
Eventually, I did get a non-aggression pact and military access, but that was like right towards the end.
Which is actually kind of funny because Teclis is the only person in Mortal Empires who will like basically take anything. He wants non-aggression. Like as soon as you can have trade, he'll take it. But in Vortex, he's not your biggest fan.
And why would he? I don't even understand why he wouldn't like Markus. I mean, you've got the same enemies.
Yeah, like you're both an Order faction. I mean, the Lizardmen are as well, but it is kind of weird, especially just because it's so vastly different from my experience between Mortal Empires and Vortex.
And like I said, I hit him in the late game, and he still didn't like me. I mean, I'd been at war with Itza, fighting army after army of theirs, and fighting Clan Skrulk or Clan Pestilence for a long time at this point, and they still just, they didn't like me for some reason.
Yeah, for whatever reason in Vortex, like the obvious sort of play off the Blessed Dread and Order of Lore Masters just doesn't happen the same way it does in Mortal Empires.
Yeah, they're really not even it is bizarre how in Vortex, Clan Scryer starts with the Star Tower, and the Blessed Dread are close by there, but then Teclis is all the way on the other side of the continent. You don't get much further than that, at least in the same hemisphere.
Yeah, whereas Mortal Empires, they start like a turn away from each other.
Oh man, I love what was it? The Blessed Dread. I've done a lot of Mortal Empires with him, if taking out, it's the only legendary playthrough I've really stuck with for a while, and not that I really got anywhere. So obviously, I'm still doing something wrong. If you take slaves, you can basically farm revolts on your little island over and over again, and you level up crazy fast. But fighting the lore masters is such a big deal, because on legendary they can just spit stacks of armies at you, even with like only 2 settlements. I can't stand it. One of the reasons why I hate legendary. But so you moved south, bumped into the lore masters. What happened then? Did you go to war with the lore masters, or did you just kind of like stare at each other angrily?
No, like I was it was like faction discovered, like blah 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 blah. I was like, oh sweet, I can get trade hopefully with Teclis. And I opened up the diplomacy. Obviously, he was not taking anything. And then a turn or two later, he had declared war. And I was pretty much just cleaning up Blue Vipers at that point. So as soon as I was done with that, I actually got attacked by a couple of his armies, ended up defeating Teclis and his stuff, and sort of pushed him back to his island. But I wasn't able to sort of finish him off just because I kind of ran into Clan Pestilence and also Itza, like Gorak's faction.
That's crazy. I never faced the High Elves once, but then again, I fought the Dark Elves a lot, and you never even came across them, really, did you?
No, not really. Like I encountered them in diplomacy, but that was it. Actually, I had one battle against the Order of Lore Masters that was one of my greatest pulls, I think, of all time.
Tell me about it.
They had 2 Sun Dragons and 1 Moon Dragon, and 2 Frostheart Griffins,
What?
and two Phoenix Guards.
Was it just one stack, or was it multiple stacks?
No, just one army, but it was like they had basically no infantry. It was just dragons and griffins, and then 2 Phoenix Guard and a Lord. And I had 3 Halberdiers, 3 Huntsmen, and an Archer unit, and I beat it. It was like the most I've ever sweat playing this game. It was crazy. Just I had to like min-max my encounters basically, just because it helped that I had everything anti-large against dragons. Like the Huntsman absolutely won that battle for me, but it was just so crazy that I actually won it. I was not expecting it at all.
Dude, that sounds insane. That's how small your army was, or were there a couple of chaff units in there that you're not telling me about?
No, I think that was pretty much it. I had 3 Huntsmen, 3 Halberdiers. Oh, you know what? I had a Spearman or a Swordsman unit as well that I threw up against the Phoenix Yard and pinned. But that was,
I don't even see how that's possible.
I don't either. I was like, okay, hopefully I can kill like a couple dragons so that I can deal with this later. Because it was sort of like I make like garrison armies, I guess you could call them, like smaller armies that I'll eventually turn into 20 stacks, but something I want to hold that doesn't have walls, sort of thing.
Oh yeah, I learned how to do that in this campaign.
yeah, exactly. So it was one of those, and I wasn't expecting Teclis to attack me. It wasn't actually him, but I wasn't expecting an attack, and it was just kind of there. And I was like, okay.
That balance of power must have not looked so good.
No, it was like maybe a fifth, if that, of like yellow.
Damn.
it was pretty rough.
I can't eat. I mean, I had. I don't know if you want to hear about my war in the north.
Absolutely.
Okay, so like I said, I moved west like you did, encountered the Blue Vipers. They, instead of moving south, they must have thrown everything at me because I dealt with 2 full stacks in quick. I think both of them at once in one battle. One of them was in forced march, thankfully. I think that was the only thing that saved me. And then I got, reinforcements at the perfect time. Like that's when I got my grenadiers.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Outriders, and
Right.
It brought me. I think I got the Sons of Sigmar Regiment of Renown that I kept to the very end.
Yeah.
Like I got a bunch of those right at the same time, and I was like, I don't have to slow down my momentum. I'm taking out these freaking orcs. So I took off north, and I just started taking city after city, trying to build my land bridge to Swamp Town.
Right.
And when I did that, Hexawaddle had not declared war at me. I had tried to get a non-aggression pact because I was like, I don't even want to deal with these guys. Like, there's no reason I need to move north. You know, like I feel like I was thinking what you're thinking. There's no reason to go up there.
Yeah.
And then they declared war at me, even though I was allied. I don't think I had an alliance with the colonies at that point, but I was trading.
Right.
They still declared war at me anyway, and they sent an army down. And Markus was just cleaning up the Blue Vipers at that point, and I was just like, screw it. Like, if I take care of these guys now, I don't have to worry about that front, anymore. That's like one side of the map that no longer has to be worried about. So let's clean them up. So in the process of doing that, I fought Mazdamunde 3 times. And that took me all the way north to it looks like the Fallen Gates is as north as you get before the climate changes.
Yeah, it just goes straight from green to red.
Yeah, green. Yep, it gets that bad.
Yeah, exactly.
And so Marathi had Sealador. Another, god dang. I bumped into Marathi, and I was like, okay, Marathi, let's make a deal. I gotta go fight these lizard men. You want to go fight your cousins, and why do we? Let's trade. Yeah. And I was surprised because I thought that we would be natural, mutual trading partners. Like, what business do the Dark Elves have coming this far south? Like,
right.
Can they even inhabit this place? I've never played as the Dark Elves and come this far south. I just assumed that, they wanted to take over Ulthuan. Come this far south. So she wouldn't make any deals. So I was like, screw it. I got to go back down south and deal with Itza. Because they're, at this point, I think it was between them and Clan Pestilence were causing problems on the eastern side. And Luther Harkon was so busy dealing with those two. He was existing over there, but that was about it.
Yeah.
And as soon as I pulled my army out of there, I got too far away to bring them back, Marathi just started launching an attack on the Fallen Gates. And not with 1 stack, but 2 stacks. And then on the other settlement to the east, she sent another 3rd stack, And in that 2-stack army on the Fallen Gates, must have been 5 Hydras at least. And I didn't realize how strong those Hydras were, man. I mean, you're telling me about the Moon Dragons and the Sun Dragons, and I have an idea of how powerful they are.
Yeah.
But I've never faced them in battle like you said you have.
Right.
But fighting 5 Hydras in that first wave, I think I had a small garrison army. So I did the Legend of War trick where I said don't use the large army to kind of force them into coming in at me at waves.
Yeah. Poor man's lightning strike.
Yeah, poor man's lightning strike. I love that. So I did the poor man's lightning strike, and the first wave was Marathi, and I don't know what she was doing. She had like 70% spearmen, and then 30% the the half naked elves with the knives.
Witch elves or
the witch elves, yeah.
yeah.
The basic ones, not like the more advanced ones.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Because this is a slaughter or the ones with the whips.
Yeah, not those. Not those hadn't come yet. Those were on the way. Little did I know. And so the first wave was like the spearmen and the witch elves, and I did a pretty good job of standing up against them. I think I had like a unit of mortars. I had a pretty decent stack of basic units going, and I lasted through it all. And I was like, all right, bring it on. and then the executioners came in along with like the blackguard of Nagarond or whatever it was, and then like I had 2 hydras coming in on each side, and there's more on the way, and I was just like, what the hell is going on here? They brought the corruption up to that. They took like the first 2 settlements up in the north and brought me back down to Chotek's Causeway, it looks like, which is a minor settlement. They took my major and minor settlement up in the north, corrupted the hell out of it, and down in Hexawaddle, I just started building up a secondary. That was like my second main army. I was just like, I need a real army to deal with this. Like I had, like you'd said, you build those small garrison armies, and they were just not cutting.
Yeah. They're not enough if a serious attack comes.
No, you actually have to dedicate like the good units to
like Marcus.
Well, Marcus had his hands full. I mean, I couldn't bring him back up there. he had a job to do back down south, and it was just I really only took. I eventually pushed and took back Sealador, made friends with the exiles of Nahek, of all people.
They'll offer friendship to anyone.
They were a little tough at first. I don't know why. They were on the ropes, I swear to God, until I started. I think once I had a success against Marathi, they just started throwing everything they had at me.
Okay.
And in doing so, they opened themselves up. Because the exiles in the Heck moved right in. I could watch them coming up north, taking their cities as they're sending. I'm like, Marathi, take care of this other problem. I'm not even invading you. I just want to defend myself. And
come on, please.
And I know they have diplomatic penalties against each other because I've tried the exiles in the Heck before, and I'm just like, why are you? Forget about me. Leave me alone.
And that's just the way Marathi ends up being. Her AI seems to either like attack Ulthuan with everything she has, or just like be a dick.
Yeah, she was not being fun. I had one general. He would have gotten that trait like 3 times. She was another one I had to fight like 3 or 4 times before. Well, I never destroyed her. I just kind of got her to stop.
I mean, her defeat trait is one of the best in the game, so it's pretty good.
Yeah, I think it's like you're good. You're more protected against hero actions. I believe.
No, it reduces. I think it might do that as well, but it reduces the cost by like 10% or something like that, and it stacks, so you can eventually make like free.
Oh yeah, you're right. But it was only one general who was getting it. That was the problem.
Right. Yeah.
I'm not. I can't, as much as I want to. I can't do that. Maybe on Legendary you have to do that.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that just doesn't seem like a fun way to do it.
No, if it happens to happen, then sure, but I'm not gonna like wait around for them to spawn back and raise an army just to defeat them again.
Yeah. Oh, here it is. Hagbush. Hero action cost minus 10%. All heroes. Hero self defense plus 10%.
Yeah.
Chance of that's only local, but the cost is all heroes. That explains why I just naturally started spamming steel technology and assassinate over and over again.
Wow, this is so cheap.
Yeah, I was like, when did this happen? So I had my big war in the north against the Dark Elves, and that was a definitely, it was a war on two fronts. I had Wulfhart heading back east, where I ran into Clan Scryer. But before I get into that, so would you say after the Vipers, your largest encounter was with it definitely sounded like the Lore Masters. What happened after you? Did you kind of stop heading south and then deal with the dwarves by heading east, or what did you do from there?
No, the dwarves got destroyed at some point in there.
Damn.
I had that fight with the Lore Masters, but it wasn't a big deal. It was just that I couldn't finish them because I had to start taking care of Pestilence, who was like definitely out of everyone I fought the hardest to deal with. And I also had to start to keep my eye on. Well, I think at that point I was at war with Itza, so I was kind of transitioning into like protecting Talansla because that's the easiest thing for them to go for.
That was definitely a big battleground for me consistently for a long time.
Oh yeah. In both Vortex and Mortal Empires, I probably fought over that settlement like over a dozen times easy.
The only one secondary to that would be Quitax, which is to the south. Like if you go south, you get immediately south is Chakwa.
Yeah.
And then southwest of Chakwa is Quitax, which is
it's like just at the bottom of the mountains make up Spinozotek.
Yeah, that was the one which was weird where I lost it, but then the army disbanded the spirit after I lost it. So I was like, and it took me probably like 10 or 15 turns before I even bothered colonizing it again. Because, like you said, defending on that front is just it takes so many resources.
Yeah, it's easier on Vortex, to be honest, but on Mortal Empires, it's just like a huge line that you have to keep protected, but also like push forward into, and it's exhausting. Like it's so slow going.
I'm not so interested in doing it right away, but I definitely want to try the Mortal Empires at some point. I read online that if you survive long enough and you can actually go to the war with the Empire and still get your reinforcements from the Empire at the same time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome, actually.
Yeah, they just figured you get bored before you would do that.
Yeah. I wonder what happens if like Reichland gets destroyed. If you still get
I don't think it matters. I don't think so. I bet it doesn't.
No, it's not tied to them actually directly.
Okay, so you said you were dealing with Clan Pestilence when you went west. So the dwarves got destroyed, which is weird because they, like I said, they knocked out Khalida for me. It looks like on my last turn of my game, they've got at least 2 provinces to themselves.
The dwarves?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, they've got the entire spine going down to the south. They must have made peace with Tehedwin or something because they are relatively intact. Like Tehedwin's on their left and on their right, and the Lore Masters are on their north as well.
Yeah, because they usually are at war with Lizardmen, which is why it's easy for you to get like up to military access pretty quick with them.
Let me see. No, they're not at war with them. I mean, on my end turn, they're
weird.
Yeah, they could have been at some point, but it looks like wow, their strength rank is 9. Although I'm not sure how many people are left at this point.
Yeah.
It says their trait is survivor. Well, that makes sense.
There you go.
Yeah. How is Clan Pestilence for you? Because I don't know if it's my unit composition or they were fighting. I actually tried to make peace with them because my main concern was Itza. Them with the spirit of the jungle. They were giving me a tough time, and I was just like, "Come on, Skrulk, just stop it. I don't want to deal with you. I just want to deal with Itza. That's enough around me." And he would not make peace, even if I managed to get like a couple of good victories on him.
Yeah. No, like it was kind of the same thing for me. Like everything basically below Itza was Clan Pestilence,
Hmm.
and everything north was mine. It was basically a stalemate where the campaign is at now, just because neither of us can really make a decisive blow. It's just like someone moves an army, takes the settlement, like they move away, they take the settlement back, and it just kind of kept going like that for the last like 10 or 15 turns.
I think I ended that stalemate. I managed to. I didn't even. Well, I'll start by saying when I headed north and I took out Mazdamunde on my east, believe it or not, I think the Vampire Mutineers existed for a long time. Much longer than they eventually they didn't declare war on me, but they started raiding my territory. So I just went after them at some point, and I got rid of them. And I think Luther Harkon took care of him on his end, because I still didn't want to move east, because Itza, coming up from the south, I was like, I'm not gonna move that way, whether or not Hertwig wants me or not. I can't do it. So at some point, I saw Clan Scryer come, and he actually did the finishing blow on the Mutineers. And yeah, I didn't. I know I've played a little bit into the Vortex campaign before, but I never saw Clan Scryer come up that far north. I don't know what the hell he was doing. But he took it like Talax. He took Talax, or it might have been Zahutek. It was in the northeast, one of those ones. And I was like, okay, I'm just not going to screw with you. And he just decided to declare war on me, like out of the blue. I mean, I guess it's, the finger rat man. I was trying to focus on lizards. But I had an awesome stroke of luck, man. I think it was a campaign changer. I had just gotten Markus Wulfhart back from his campaign in the north, which took a long time. I think I might have sailed over there, and I was like, I'm just gonna set him on ambush stance. And I kid you not, because Scryer sent a 20 stack of good stuff,
Jeziles and rattling guns and abominations.
Yeah, I mean, not abominations, but he had a couple of Jeziles and rattling guns, and I was like, that's enough. And so I set Wulfhart down, and I set him in ambush stance, and I could barely afford a second army and I think a garrison army. And I must have sat there for 3 turns with Marcus just sitting in ambush stance, waiting for Scryer to move in, because he had declared war on me. And finally he force marched, and I wiped out every last goddamn one of those guys. and immediately I sued for peace. I was like, I think I took his 1 territory or his 2 territories up north. And then all of a sudden he confederated with Clan Pestilence, and that was the last I saw of him. I mean, other than getting his awesome trait, which lets you research faster and forget what else.
So you didn't end up having much of a major confrontation with Itza, or?
Oh no, that was an ongoing thing. That was the whole goddamn.
He was just sending 20 stacks every couple of turns, pretty much.
Oh yeah, I mean, he was just as bad as I know I lost a settlement or 2 to him, combined with the at least the Spirit of the Jungle can't. I don't know if he can't or won't, but they don't get a military alliance, because having both of them in the same battle come at you, I don't know. I don't know how I could have done it, but it was with Itza that I lost a lot of my garrison armies. When you can only afford to maybe assemble a 6 or 8 stack. Yeah. And, on top of the garrison. And sometimes I would do really good, They might, oftentimes I think at least twice they chose to raise the city, because I did enough damage to where I guess they decided they weren't going to hold it anyway. Yeah. But still, every time they raise a settlement, that sets you back so far, because it's that's a good staging area, because you're going to take a ton of casualties because you're fighting the lizard men. Yeah. And you need a settlement where you can get that extra replenishment and maybe new recruits.
Mm-hmm.
and also money. A big problem is you need the money to. It was weird. I went from only enough money to run one army and like a garrison army, and then but once I built my second army, I was quickly able to get my third one because I think I sent an agent. I sent a death wizard off to Ulthuan and just started making trade agreements with the high elves. And I don't know what turn that happened on, but I was like, I got to get some trade agreements going on.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then I went to the Tomb King's Cetra. I got a trade agreement with Cetra, and he just conquered everything over there. And more and more money was coming in the more he conquered it. I was like, all right. Did you establish any foreign deals like that?
I mean, I didn't send a dark wizard off to Ulthuan. I honestly didn't have that much problem with money other than the beginning, like especially my Vortex campaign. Like supply lines really hurts in this campaign just because there is so many instances where you're like, okay, I need something here, but I can't afford to put like a 20 stack. So you have like a huntsman with 6 archers or something stupid just to like have a presence.
No, absolutely. The huntsman with 6 archers was like, it's weird that it was a staple for a little while.
Yeah,
and that's how I lost a lot of my I didn't have any secondary generals that leveled up beyond that, because you start off at level 3 or level 4, and then I would lose that battle. But the idea was that you cause such damage that they can't go any further. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. More of a slowing thing than like a brute stop.
No, I mean, that was something I had to learn from streamers because, Legendary is a guy Legendary Total War, I've watched a lot, and you don't see him lose a lot of battles. But when he does, it is kind of a victory. He's like, all right, I'm going to lose this battle, but but we got to fight it because, we got to do as much damage as possible. Whereas before I'd be like, oh, this battle is lost. What's even the point? And I know there are times where the numbers are just there that your guys are going to break like right away and you're not going to do anything.
Yeah.
But especially in a walled city, if you can just keep shooting at them and plucking away with them. If you can knock out a Carnosaur or a Engine of the Gods, that is a huge blow to them. They can't replace that right away, especially if it's in a different province.
Yeah, and like the Lizardmen have very, very expensive armies comparatively, and the AI isn't the best at managing that. So, basically any big units you can take care of, especially Dreadsaurians. Like even the feral ones are like 2,300, I think, and I know Shredder is probably close to 4,000, just a higher. That's the Regiment of Renown. And I think just Dreadsaurians are like 3,300, something like that. So it's pretty significant.
Well, that's why I can't even imagine playing on Legendary, because I know that it doesn't even matter at that point, at least not from what I can tell.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine playing this on Legendary, even on Vortex. I know it's supposed to be easier, but like you said, there are so many times where, at least in the beginning, I felt like I was on the ropes, and I just stayed on the ropes. I'd punch back a couple times and then get thrown up against them, and then be like, oh, reinforcements. Okay, I got another unit of great swords now and some halberdiers.
Right.
But I don't even want to think about Mortal Empires.
Like I said, everything just makes you feel like you shouldn't be there. Like it just feels wrong.
I mean, I definitely felt that way in the Vortex campaign, though. Itza, like I said, I mean, their last battle was Itza. I'd taken out everything. I had Tehenowin took out the last of Clan Skrull or Clan Pestilence. I had totally taken over the Fuming Serpent and the Star Tower, and then Clan Eshin came to the north. Believe it or not.
Oh, okay,
they took 2 of my cities and then sued for peace, and I was like, screw it, take it. Yeah, they took a couple 2 settlements in the northeast that I keep wanting to call them the Buccaneers, the
Mutineers.
The Mutineers.
Yeah.
They took their like original territories, and I was like, screw it, Eschen can keep it, because they had the hostility was in the max level, and I had just like a 2nd level garrison,
Right.
and those Eschen triads would not break. I fought them down to the last man, and they still wouldn't break.
Last rat.
With the last rat, yeah. And I'm like, why can't, when I'm, the clan Eschen, can they not stay and fight to the last rat? They've got the ultimate discipline.
Yeah.
But that's, like I said, I don't like how the hostility affects other races other than the lizard men. I want to say that's not what they intended. I'm not sure why they did it.
Yeah, it just felt like cheap when I was taking the fight to Teclis and winning, but also like spawning a lizardman army. It was like, oh, the native population is upset with your actions, and I'm like, this dude's an intruder too. Like, don't blame me.
Yeah, like you think they would just kind of be like, oh, they're fighting to us or to them. You think we'd look pretty much the same. You know, high elves, humans, it doesn't make a difference. We're both invaders and we're fighting each other. Why wouldn't they let us keep hurting each other? Yeah, it did. Trust me, it felt unfair when I was fighting against Morathi, because whenever I had a success, you just punish more. It makes the dark elves even stronger.
Yeah.
On top of that buff they get towards the end of a fight, bloodlust or whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Yeah. God damn it. God damn it, Creative Assembly.
Yeah.
So you bumped into the lore masters and you couldn't really finish them off. So I guess you kind of stifled them a little bit. Like they didn't really extend beyond their islands there.
No, they were pretty much stuck there. Like that was like pretty much the end of them. I just drove them back into the island, and then I think they sent like an army or 2 after that, like not full stacks, but whatever they could muster, and just kind of like threw it at one of my settlements. And yeah, they weren't anything to deal with after that. Really.
So was the cult of, you said the dwarves, the spine of Sotek, they got destroyed early on.
Yeah.
So were they destroyed by Tehenowin? Did you have to deal with the cult of Sotek at all?
No. In Mortal Empires, I kind of did, just because their province actually is like really long, like north to south.
Yeah, it's a very vastly different place in Mortal Empires.
Yeah, exactly. Like their starting city, you've got like 2 minor settlements above it that go all the way to like the northern tip of Lustria, essentially. So it's just this long one. So if they do that, which the game kind of pushes you in that direction anyway, you end up right beside Huntsmarshal. So yeah, I had to fight him a little bit in that section. But other than that, like in my Vortex campaign, he got destroyed like maybe turn 60 fairly early on.
Wow.
And yeah, my big lizardman fight was just against Itza, essentially.
I mean, I didn't run into them until maybe turn 100, but they took the last of Clan Pestilence, and at that point, they decided to start a fight with me, and Itza was on the ropes at that point, but then, Cult of Sotek wanted a peace, and I think I took 2 of their cities and, killed Tehenowin, and they own, I'm looking at the map now, I mean, they got a pretty decent amount of real estate. I mean, they're sharing it with the lore masters and the dwarves, but they have a strength rank of 5, and I only have a strength rank of 4. So
they're doing all right. Yeah.
Yeah, they're not doing bad. I mean, they've got 13 settlements, and once they ask for peace, I'm like, my beef is with pizza. You know, I want to. I completed this campaign 2 hours before we started this, man. So I was like, just back off. I gotta finish this.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I had Clan Pestilence on the ropes because they wouldn't stop. Tehenowin was crunching them from the south, and then Itza was crushing them from the west. And I don't know what possessed Pestilence to just keep sending armies specifically at me. I mean, I have played with mods before that supposedly remove the AI preference for the player.
Right.
Because to me, I mean, not to get into modern politics, but it's like I'm in the United States, right? It's like Israel just allowing like Iran to cross its borders. Iran wants to send an army across our borders into the ocean, or to come at the United States. Yeah, let's let them do that.
Yeah.
No, that doesn't happen. I can't stand. Was it Clan Angarant, the dwarves? I know I'm taking a sharp left turn here, but Clan Angaron, they're the ones with the high upkeep on the dwarves, right?
High upkeep.
Yeah, like they got to take back Carrick 8 peaks.
Oh yeah, that's it. Yep.
Yeah, I tried doing them on a very hard campaign, and I kid you not, in like 10 turns, I had the mutinous gits of the Crooked Moon. They were invading my space. And I'm like, how are you coming from all the way over there? I just don't. You went through the border princes just to get to me. It doesn't make any sense. I don't know.
One thing that I thought was really weird, like not that I usually follow long campaign victory conditions, but actually in Mortal Empires for Markus Wulfhart, one of the long campaign victory conditions is that you destroy Clan Moors. Which makes zero sense. I know. I looked at that and I was like, what? This isn't even like on the same continent as me now. Like, you would literally have to fight, like, take Lustria, leave, go across the entire desert, across Nehekara, all the way, and hope that Queek is somewhere in there.
Do you have to fight the Tomb Princes at all?
No, like it tells you to destroy like basically Hexawaddle, Itza, the Awakened. Basically like take Lustria, which makes sense.
Yeah.
And then it's like destroy Clan Moors. And I was like, who said this was okay? And like you're not required to destroy Clan Pestilence, but Clan Moors, yes.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it would make sense, but that's what they give you.
Bizarre, man. Some of these victory conditions.
Yeah, I was like, okay.
I mean, I'm looking at the domination victory of the Vortex campaign. Clan Moors, I have no idea when they got knocked out, but I never bumped into them on this campaign. Hexwaddle, I took out myself. Spirit of the Jungle, I feel like the real Spirit of the Jungle got taken out in like turn 5. I don't know.
Yeah, they lose pretty quick, depending.
It wants me to take out the last defenders. Where the hell are they? Where the hell are they on the Vortex?
Krokkar spawns like as far east as you can go. Like the island on the like southeast. He starts like on the other side of the mountains that are like halfway down it. Basically, he's the most easternmost faction.
Oh yeah, I just clicked on it. Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
All the way over there.
Yeah. That seems a little unnecessary.
Yeah.
I mean, Call of France sent me to colonize this place. What the hell does?
What is this?
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, maybe they just don't. This is something that the creative assembly doesn't think about. I would just like some sort of explanation.
Yeah, it just seems off. Like they just threw it in there and were like, yeah, there you go. I was like, okay.
Well, like Clan Moors, I can sort of see it because I know the Vortex campaign came out first, and Clan Moors is here. And in the Mortal Empires, they're all the way over in the old world.
Yeah.
I don't know. They're not even natural enemies. They're just nowhere close to each other.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense.
But I also have on my list for Vortex Naggarond, which I don't even know if I've made contact with them.
Probably not. They're all the way in the north.
Yeah, the Cult of Pleasure I've had too much contact with. But how is the Cult of Pleasure doing after my little war with them? Let's see. Strength rank of 8. They're even weaker than than Tehenowen. So,
Yeah.
11 provinces. They're on their way out. If I kept this up, conquering places that you're not good with their climate is just not a lot of fun.
Not worth it. No, especially there.
Yeah. I mean, even though Marcus himself is dressed like he's heading into Norska, I do not. I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, I've been in hot temperature places, and believe it or not, it does make sense to cover your body, like at least with a light layer, just so the sun isn't directly hitting like your skin and whatnot. It does keep you cooler. But wearing like furs and leathers, and I'm like, what the?
You have a fur hat. It's hot as balls here, dude.
Dude, he would be. I don't know. He must be able to live on the surface of the sun? I know in places like in the jungle, it's got to be like 110 degrees. The humidity's at 200%.
Yeah, Marcus just has a beaver on his head.
Does he strip down to his skivvies when he heads up north? I don't.
Except the hat. He keeps the hat.
The hat always stays on, of course. It's a symbol of his power. All right, so I guess we've covered sort of our mid games. Like I said, my mid game was dealing Clan Pestilence, absorbed Clan Scryer, and was giving me a bit of trouble. By the time I got to Luther Harkon, he was getting his ass kicked by Clan Pestilence, and I kind of just mopped him up. I think I had a big, like maybe a major battle with him, but I have no memory of it, so I must have just cleaned him up.
Yeah, it wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, which I've gotten my ass kicked by him before. So
he's like early in mid game, he's really hard to deal with, depending on who your faction is. Like I was saying before, like we even started recording, like Tehenowen against him is a pain because it's just red crested skinks against like Necrofex Colossus, and it's horrible. But yeah, like endgame, you got something to deal with it for sure. It's not too hard.
Yeah, I definitely noticed that because, I mean, when you got artillery that beats his artillery, it's not much
and
of a problem.
all their stuff is like so closely knit that a couple of rocket batteries are gonna make quick work of them.
I don't think I had rocket batteries at that point, but I know those bloated corpses, the AI thinks those things are nukes for whatever reason. And if you've got a bunch of huntsmen with you, you can take those out. Like, the AI thinks 5 bloated corpses equals this balance of power, and you take those out in like quick succession.
Yeah, that's pretty easy.
I just wish they worked that well for me when I try to use bloated corpses.
So did you end up like in any more major conflicts, or were you just kind of like taking care of the rest of the Lizardman resistance?
Let's see. The big ones were kind of when I ambushed Clan Scryer. That was the turning point. Then when I moved up north, fighting Marathi, after I'd kind of left the area with my main army, that was a big struggle there. And putting her in place. Like I said, I only took one of her. I took Sealador. I didn't even bother pursuing north. I was like, that's the border right there. Once I moved back east, I was dealing with a lot of Clan Pestilence. For whatever reason, like I said, I wasn't having a tough time with them, but I think that's because they were getting pressure from Itza and Tehenowen. Because I had no concept of Tehenowen until I pushed Clan Pestilence back to like their last 2 cities, and I was like, oh, there they are. that's when I made contact with the lore masters and, got a trade agreement and military access eventually. At about that time, Clan Eshin invaded my northeast part of Lustria, took a couple settlements before I made peace with them. Like I said, I was just like, I don't even want to fight these guys.
Yeah, it's like, okay.
Yeah, fuck it. You guys can have those too. Like the 2 settlements I didn't fortify, you go straight for them.
Yeah.
And then the last big battle was Itza. Like, not the quest battle. Like, not counting the quest battle. Taking Itza was the last settlement they had. Because at this point, I had 4 standing armies. Like, probably 2 very solid late game armies. And 2 kind of, basic armies with maybe a couple good units to kind of hold the line in the north and kind of in the, to back up some of the other armies.
Yeah. Like it's a 20 stack, but it's not super confidence inspiring.
No, but if you throw it behind with your actual good 20 stack, it kind of tips the balance. Like, so you might not have to. So you can just auto resolve it sometimes. I'm not against auto resolving, especially when I don't have you. I think the reason why I've never finished a campaign before, I've decided when I was like in the shower today, I'm gonna call it like the mid game hump. The first probably like 30 turns are very exciting. They're all nail biters. Every move you make, like I was describing it to my wife earlier. She's never played it, but she's watched me play a little bit. I'm like, the beginning moments are so crucial. Like, you might not know that you've lost the game on turn 3.
Yeah.
And you won't see it until like turn 6 or 7 or even 10. Like,
yeah.
And I like that excitement in the beginning because it's very simple. You only get an army, you get a couple settlements, but then you get into the empire building. Now you've started you're on a roll. You're maybe you're not steamrolling yet, but you're kind of mopping up those minor factions. You haven't bumped into the I hadn't bumped into Marathi yet. Mazdamunde was an obstacle, but I had developed past him, and I just had to finish him off. And that gets tedious, when you have to manage, all these different settlements. You can't ignore them yet because you're still developing your economy,
right? And
you still have to spend money wisely. So a single turn where in the beginning might not take so long. Now, I mean, I swear to God, like, in the mid game, I had a couple turns where it took me must have taken like 15 or 20 minutes on a turn, not counting combat, just to make sure everything was in order. The mid game hump. Yeah. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
I'm pretty partial to the mid game. Like, the beginning's always really fun. Like, I'll even poke in on some factions I haven't played before. I'm like, oh, I know what the first couple turns are like. But mid game for me is the most, not the most fun maybe, but I do enjoy it just because it ends up being the closest to what I like about this game, if that makes sense. Like, just big battles, like big clashes of maybe not major powers, but a lot of the time the battles are like bigger and more exciting and they mean a little bit more. And you can like really see that instead of like knowing that this battle might have something to do with the future, like the first couple engagements you have. But yeah, I don't know. I prefer the mid game personally.
No, I see what you mean. I think I didn't have an appreciation for that because I found in other factions, like not like in this, like, your acclaim rises high enough, you get better reinforcements. I'm too slow to, I think, upgrade my army. I have a problem of sticking with what I know. I mean, as to, I had 4 or 5 swordsmen who made it almost all the way to the end game. I couldn't get rid of them, even though they get wiped out almost every battle. But I mean, I gotta say, when I had, how we were talked about in the campaign, you have these battles that feel like quest battles, even though they're not.
Yeah, exactly.
I had a garrison army standing up on a cliff face with several mortars, some swordsmen, and I had a large dark elf force coming at me, I had like, a reinforcing army coming in, and that was the moment I think when I stopped the Dark Elves, because they took one city, then another, then they were threatening like the third, and at some point in like a desperate battle, even though I lost almost everybody, I at least destroyed what they had. I took out every single one of those that they had, and I think I took out like their artillery pieces. I forget what they're called. The bolt throwers.
Bolt throwers, yeah.
Yeah, I took out their bolt throwers. I took out every key thing that they had, and all they were left were their basic bleak swords and their
Couple of good
spears.
spears and some broken dark darts.
Yeah, and it that I think was the only thing comparable to what you had with the lore masters, because I think I lost 2 generals, and their associated armies and cities trying to slow them down, and finally I just started far enough south to be like, okay, I'm gonna build up a real army, send it north, and just try and hold on to those properties as long as possible. And that's when I finally was able to stop it. It wasn't even with that army. It was just like, another garrison army.
Yeah.
But it was, it was one of those nail biters where it's like another Hydra is coming at me, rifleman, head that way. And it managed to drop one. It's like, all right, on to the second one.
Yeah.
And that's when you realize that not having magic, because fighting Marathi when she's at a high level and you have no magic, she was just dropping regiments of my guys, like an entire unit of swordsmen would just scatter. They would just and I was like, what the heck? What did I even get you guys for?
Yeah, as soon as I could get like fire wizard, I was like, please.
Oh yeah, I had a fire wizard stay with me at the very end.
Yeah.
To that quest battle. Once I got a fire wizard, all the way, man.
Yeah, it's like a must-have.
So what was your end wrapping up? Like what led up into the? Well, let me say I did the quest battle. The very last thing. The last thing I did was the quest battle.
I just kind of played it as it came.
No, that's what I did too. It just happened to be,
the last sort of thing. Yeah, it's pretty difficult. I was taking a look because I wanted to like replay it, and I realized I didn't have a save for it, so I just went on to like the quest battle thing in the battle tab, because you can like replay them, and the army it gives you is garbage.
What does it even give you?
It's like, well, it's trying to like keep it close to like Marcus and the DLC stuff, if that makes sense. So you have like 2 war wagons with mortars.
What?
Like some archers, some crossbowmen, like 1 unit of huntsmen, and like some halberdiers, and
1 unit of huntsmen.
I'd have to pull it up honestly to see all of it.
I'm getting the picture though.
But it's garbage. I was like, wow, okay. So I was like, you know what? I'll play like the Nakai one, and it is so much easier because you just like fold their front line because there's like nothing to it. It's
I mean, I'm curious to play as Nakai now. Finally. Just to be on the opposite end and actually survive more than 5 turns. I mean, like I said, my final army was not the best because I had, I wanted all the heroes in there, the original, because they were considerably beefed up, at that point. I put all like the best equipment on them. They had all finished their quests.
Yeah. Roderick can't die, Kalaris snipes lords, and Hertwig can heal.
Yeah, and then my fire wizard, who I didn't even bother to learn his name. I was just like, that's the guy that Bernie Boy. I had Bernie Boy on my team like you, and he did not leave Marcus's crew once I got him. Yeah. So that was Marcus, the 4 heroes, and then Bernie Boy. I had a couple of great swords, in the very last battle. I got rid of, the Sons of Sigmar, the Regiment of Renown. They went out in a flame of glory, or a blaze of glory, on the on the actual Battle of Itza, like the city, not the quest.
Oh, okay.
They must have taken the attention of every unit in that city, and I dropped the Fire Wizard. Just started bombarding that clump with everything he had.
Yeah.
And I had the what are they called? The rockets. The
rocket batteries.
Rocket batteries. Yeah, the rocket batteries were just dropping fire, everything coming down on the Sons of Sigmar. And they went out the way they wanted, the way Sigmar would have it.
Stealing gunpowder.
Yeah, they had the faith, the steel, the gunpowder. It was all there. The fire, burning alive, maybe not so much, but maybe it was good in a way. I had the gyrocopter that you unlock through the dwarf.
Yeah.
I thought that was awesome. I mean, I had the Demigryph Knights with the Hellbirds, the Luminarch thing. What the hell is that?
The Magic Chariot.
The Magic Chariot, Regiment of Renown. I had a tank and 3 rocket batteries. And
wow.
I did not have enough infantry.
No, I was gonna say that sounds like a lot of firepower with nothing to hold it.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, surprisingly, I took a photo of what was left of that quest battle.
Oh, yeah.
It looks like the rocket batteries didn't take. I must have sacrificed everybody to protect those, because no casualties there.
Yeah.
But my great swords were almost utterly wiped out. My heroes were fine, more or less. They were okay. My Demigryph Knights were almost gone. Had some gyrocopters left, but it was mainly the great swords that got chewed up. Only having 3 units of infantry, probably not the best idea.
I mean, and you just cannot hold on to infantry in this campaign.
No, they just that was the weird thing. I'm like an infantry type of guy, and it bothers me that every time, one of their Saurus units could just obliterate, if you don't support them, 2 units of swordsmen. Even tired, they can take on other units. It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Is it this way when you play as the Lizardmen, or do you just never? Or does the Empire Wulfhart's campaign never last? I don't.
I haven't played too much against the Huntsmarshal's expedition as the Lizardmen, because they do tend to get just folded right away. But Lizardmen, playing them as a whole, you can usually count on your line. There isn't. I think that honestly, the dwarfs are the only faction that have a better leadership.
Yeah,
for unit per unit.
Yeah, imagine fighting the dwarves on max hostility. Yeah.
Exactly. They just wouldn't break. Everything would be unbreakable.
Although that was basically how it was. I mean, like I said, I wasn't kidding. They'd be one skink left, and they would still be fighting.
Yeah. It's just too hard to break them, unfortunately.
And it's hard to underestimate how many casualties you just take when the enemy does not break. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because you're already you can sometimes expect half of your army to be gone, but it's still a decent victory. And then it's you lose that extra third after that, and then you start getting units totally wiped out. Just because where they would usually break is where they start fighting harder.
Well, they only have so many penalties from loss of vitality. I mean, if everybody's exhausted, by the end of the match for so long, it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, and their generals have quite a bit of leadership buffs as well. They have the cold-blooded ability, which is usually just top rampage, but it also boosts leadership.
I didn't even think of that, because I've played so little of their faction.
Yeah,
I didn't realize how useful that was.
Yeah.
So what was your final army looking like?
I went probably almost half Huntsman. I did keep Yorick in with Marcus, and so the missile damage was just crazy. So it was, I think, 7 or 8 Huntsmen. I actually stuck with Halberdiers just because I found I was fighting way more large. I just didn't want to put like the extra effort into getting great swords, just because like there's just not that much infantry I found to fight. So it was mostly Huntsmen, a few Halberdiers, definitely a rocket battery. I think with Marcus I ended up having 2 Demigryph Knights with halberds to help with that as well. And then I kept Yorick at a Fire Wizard, and then a Warrior Priest for tanking.
Whatever happened to Roderick N'Gul?
He, like, based on where he spawned, actually, he spawned like right next to my like garrison army at the time, which ended up he just stayed with actually.
Oh.
And just kind of filled that like Warrior Priest Empire Captain role for that one army. Actually, that was my like second best army, I guess. So he was there. I used Hurtwick as a hero for most of it. And like Kalara was in and out of armies here and there.
No, yeah, that's kind of once Marcus had reached us. Well, once I got Yorick, the dwarf, I kind of put her in my second up and coming army because I didn't really need her to snipe as much anymore. I used the Witch Hunter, Hurtwig. He was the master assassin. He was cleaning up.
Yeah, exactly.
But and also, just destroying walls left and right. But like I said, I made the crazy decision. I just like, screw it. I put all the heroes into one army, which I don't think it's a good idea to have. How many heroes is that? 6.
Just in total.
6 individual units. They didn't even do that many. I mean, maybe they're the important ones, but Kalara got the highest with 60. But other than that, it was a smattering, lower. But yeah, that was a tough fight. The Luminarch that I had was definitely good. I feel like I took out Nakai right away, but from what I understand, as you complete like each of these individual heroes' quests, you get bonuses. Like in this final cinematic of the quest battle, I noticed Kalara took out some sort of shield that was around Nakai and his forces. I don't know if that would have had any difference on the battle.
Oh yeah, I remember that. Huh.
Yeah,
it looked like a Supreme Shield of the Old Ones, which is like one of Lord Croak's abilities.
Yeah, let's see. Kalara's final battle bonus is Shield Breaker. An arrow blessed by both Isha Blola can pierce any shield, so should be saved for a worthy target. Shield of the Old One's ability will be destroyed in the final battle. Okay, so she did something there.
So, yeah, Shield of the Old Ones, basically.
Roderick got massively reduce enemy lords damage resistance in final battle. I can't even imagine not having that. Like if if trying to fight that final battle without any of these things, the Yorick gives you ammunition for all units will periodically be replenished during final battle, which is awesome for the Huntsman.
Yep.
Hurtwig's was welcome reinforcements, and yes, those allied reinforcements will arrive during final battle. It's called welcome reinforcements. Thank God for them too, because those reinforcements definitely slowed them down enough for my rocket batteries to
just fodder for it.
Like I said, too many rocket batteries. Well, there's no such thing as too many rocket batteries.
Well,
yeah, I don't know. I had one backup army that had 4 in them. I don't think but you can't bring them into the final battle. So
yeah,
that was sad. Be too easy. The only other quest battle was for the Amber Bow, which we failed to mention, and I didn't play that until like turn 100 because I utterly forgot about that.
You can actually play it pretty early on because you do get the quest early on. It doesn't take too much, and it's honestly quite easy comparatively. Even just to like the rest of the campaign, I was like, oh, that's it, like that's it. Because I think I still had like a war wagon in my arm. Like it was probably before turn 30, I think. It's not super difficult.
I mean, I wish I had done it because I know all you have to do is basically raid any region belonging to the lizard men, and I never used him as raiding. He was always either an ambush stance or on the move. There was no time to raid for him.
Yeah, I just like took a turn out of my schedule, I guess, and like popped just inside their border and popped right back out just to get that quest done.
Well, if you remember to do it, then it's easy.
Yeah, but
I just
priority.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I'm going to progress through this naturally. And then I earlier this morning when I was watching I was watching a video about Markus Wulfhart earlier, and I just wanted to refresh my memory. And I was like, oh crap, the Amber Bow. Did I ever get that? And I was like, there's no way I don't have it because I'm so far in at this point. And then no, I still hadn't done the quest battle.
Yeah, it makes a big difference too. Like it actually turns Markus into a pretty formidable opponent. Definitely gives him a good buff.
He's definitely formidable as he is. He's not.
Yeah, he just turns into like a Lithanar type artillery piece lord.
Oh yeah. It's a lot of good fun. Like you said, fighting those just monsters that they just keep sending waves after you. I mean, the best you can do is do one at a time, and with your huntsman, Kalara, and him, just happens that much faster. So, I mean, that's the final quest battle. What are your? Do you have any? You think we're ready to move on to final thoughts?
I think so. Yeah, I think we pretty much covered it.
Yeah. So, what do you want to wrap up with? How are your overall?
Summarize the campaign. It's hard.
It's hard. Yeah, definitely.
Kick my ass. I've never sworn so much at my computer. No, it's definitely difficult, but it's like it's in a challenging way. Like it's a fun challenge, I guess. Like even to anyone who's considered a very hard campaign is easier than this for sure. I found anyway.
I haven't made it past like turn 15 with Tehenwin, so I'm looking forward to try Lizardmen with that.
Yeah.
What are
your thoughts?
I definitely like how it was meant to feel like you're settling a new country that's very much inhabited.
Right.
And it definitely feels that. Like you said, the better you do, the more it resists you. So you're never really reach that point of steamrolling. I mean, it does come eventually, but every time you start to get ahead, it just amps it up times 10.
Yeah.
On whether you're fighting the Dark Elves, the High Elves, which we agree is bullshit. And we all know it is, whether we say it or not. It is. I like it. I like that how the reinforcement system works. It's a high risk, high reward. I relied on it very early, which makes more sense than hiring regiments of swordsmen on a country you don't even really inhabit yet.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like in Rome Total War. We have no idea how long the turns last. I mean, is it a month? Is it 4 months? I don't know how it works.
Yeah.
It's unique. I don't think I'm going to go back to the Empire anytime soon, although I want to. This was just fighting the Lizardmen as the Empire is so friggin' difficult.
Yeah. It's just so not what they're designed to do. It like I said, it just feels alien.
No, I mean your guys are disciplined, but the lizard men are more disciplined. Yeah, they're bigger and stronger, and until you get the gunpowder, and I did like having the riflemen. I've never really liked riflemen too much until I put them in my backup armies, because the way the settlements in Lustria are structured, like the lizardmen settlements.
Yeah.
If you can put like layers, because there'll usually be staircases going up to like the capture point.
Right.
You can actually layer riflemen so they fire over each other, and then if you have outriders, or let's say a hellblaster war wagon sitting behind them, you can shoot like those three lines over a line of infantry.
Yeah.
And create a pretty spectacular kill box. I mean, I watched waves of temple guards just throwing themselves up this staircase, just trying to get to the capture point. And that was towards the end, and it was pretty spectacular. I felt almost bad for the lizardmen at that point.
Like, oh no.
Yeah, I'm like, they're so brave. They're just going into this volley of gunfire, and they're still coming. I don't know. It's an interesting matchup. It's not like anything. Like I said, this is my first campaign I've ever completed, so it's a big deal for me. The matchups are amazing. In the old world, I've never played long enough to put the Empire up against the Dark Elves. It's never happened.
No, it's an interesting matchup for sure.
I definitely witnessed the awesome power of Marathi when you have no magic. When you have no magic at your disposal, it's terrible. What hydras can do to people. And then I think it's fascinating to see the way you told me your campaign went down in Lustria, or in the Vortex campaign.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the big draws to Total War for me. If every time, I mean, within reason, I mean, there's certainly played the game enough to where it's very predictable. But just my campaign compared to yours, like I said, I never fought the High Elves. They were never an issue for me.
Right. And I had all of Southern Lustria full of rats, and you didn't have to deal with them nearly as much.
No, I think my early setback of Clan Scryer really screwed them up. Because, like I said, they got as far north as me, and then they just never seemed to recover from whatever damage I did. It must have been at a bad time,
Yeah.
Anyway, would you recommend this campaign?
I would recommend it. Yeah, definitely. Like, if you're looking for something that's hard, something that's a little bit different, like something like a combination you haven't tried before, it's definitely worth giving a shot. It'll challenge you. It might challenge you too much, as it did to me, but it's definitely a unique campaign.
I will be honest here. I played it on hard campaign difficulty and normal battle difficulty.
Is that what I did wrong? I played hard and hard.
Honestly, that might have been your problem. No, it's weird. I usually played on. My preferred difficulty is very hard campaign and normal battle difficulty.
Yeah.
Because I don't like. I mean, goddamn, they already get enough bonuses in this campaign. You're playing it on hard battle difficulty, so
yeah.
I mean, granted, at some point it doesn't make a difference because they're unbreakable anyway with all the bonuses they get.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, if you want to play it, my recommendation is hard campaign, normal battle difficulty. You're still gonna lose. I mean, it's no guarantee you'll even make it through. Some of the tougher portions. I guess if you're, get good, or I mean, some people
videos.
Yeah, I've watched plenty of tactical videos, but you have to give your soul to the cheese god, and I really, and that's heresy to me most of the time, unless you subject yourself to legendary, in which case you have to.
Yeah.
But which I don't like, but I mean, sometimes it can be fun, I guess. I can't imagine this being fun at all on legendary. I mean, it's like, will I make it to 3 turns or 4 turns this time?
Yeah, I honestly would like to see someone play it on legendary because it just seems impossible.
There's one guy I watch from time to time called Strategy Professor. He did it on vanilla. He usually plays it on SFO modded, but he did do Vortex campaign legendary, and I watched a little bit, and I do probably want to watch all of it eventually because, like I said, I recommend it as well. I had like I said, I didn't like the mid game too much, but that's not unique to this faction. Usually, I kind of lose track. I get kind of bogged down. But the end game was very much a rush, trying to assemble, my last couple armies, dealing with, the threats from a high end game dark elf faction, an end game lizard faction, and Clan Eshin and Clan Pestilence. It was very chaotic. I don't know. It was a great time. I'm glad I finished it, and I'm looking forward to my next experience with the next faction that we end up going with.
Yeah, I'm excited for sure.
All right. Well, if you made it this far, this concludes our show for Renowned and Feared. Oh, wait, one more thing. The whole point of this show. What makes Markus Wulfhart renowned and or feared? Take it away, Archer.
Put me on the spot.
I'll say something too. Don't worry. Or do you want me to go first? I'll go first.
I can go first. I can make something up on the spot.
All right. Well, I'm not saying make it up. All right.
I mean, obviously, he's renowned for being a hunter. Renowned for taking care of some of the bigger pests in the Empire, but definitely feared by the lizardmen, and especially you can kind of see in the Battle of Itza, feared by Nakai specifically, and the Spirit of the Jungle faction, just because. I mean, it goes farther than them just saying they take artifacts. Let's kill them. It's they're fighting for their home rather than ultimately what is greed for Markus.
No, what you said is pretty powerful there. I mean, you get that sense of desperation. It doesn't come off that way because to you it's just a hostility meter. Yeah. But really it's you're the cause of them rallying together and putting together essentially an army that's neutral. I imagine it's just comprised of the lizard men living there of whatever faction. And Nakai in that last battle, it does. I mean, by the time I got to that quest battle, the end was not in doubt.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. I beat the quest battle on my first try. Granted, it was on normal difficulty. I suffered a lot of losses, but I was like, it's only going to end one way, Nakai. Like, it's where we came here. This is our land now, and it was an interesting feeling.
Yeah.
I'd probably have more thoughts if you asked me about it later on, but it did give me something to think about. I don't know.
It had a very how this has to end feel.
Yeah, I just wish I had bumped up against Nakai more often. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like that's just a flaw with the way the AI works, just because he tends to get wiped out.
Yeah, but they could have given him I feel like in certain campaigns, like if you play Wulfhart, it should give Nakai extra bonuses just to kind of make sure he sticks around for a little bit longer. Something like that. Otherwise, if you don't play as him, he doesn't get it, and he's just normal. I don't know. Maybe they already give him those bonuses. I just don't know, and they're not enough.
Yeah, I think it's just he's up against a lot in the beginning.
Yeah, he definitely is. I'm actually super looking forward to. I'll probably a little bit tonight. I'm getting pretty tired. I'll probably be able to stay up a little later because it's 11:30 here my time, just about. But I do want to try Nikai on Vortex campaign.
Just gonna let's see.
Yeah, just to see, because I've never really done the Lizardman before, and you recommended Nikai before because I did mention I like Horde factions, and
yeah, if you like the Horde, go ahead.
Yeah, he's definitely up my alley, so I'll probably do that. He's definitely not what we're going to. I don't think we should do him for our next episode.
I've been in Lustria too much, my dude.
Yeah, I mean, I'll stay in a little longer, maybe do a little bit of his campaign. But all right. So, in my opinion, what makes him renowned and feared is, well, basically everything you said. Renowned because he's just a commoner. Most of these legendary lords have most of the human legendary lords have some sort of royal background, whereas this guy used to just be a hunter. A simple tale of revenge led to him being recognized by the Empire and sent to an unknown world to, conquer that. And he was so successful in the old world, they sent him to the new world to continue doing what Wulfhart does best, which is kill monsters and look good doing it. Because obviously he cares more about style than practicality.
That mustache, though.
Yeah, oh yeah. Anyway, thanks for sticking around. This, like I said, this was a big deal for me. I'd just like to say thank you, Archer, for joining me on.
Thank you.
It's been hopefully it'll be a great journey for us, and we can keep this going. And anybody out there, this will be more organized in the future, but I'm definitely putting this up on YouTube, probably iTunes. So leave us a like, subscribe, leave us a review. Any comments that you leave as of now, we're going to read them all. So I don't know, if you have a thought, send it in. Any suggestions, we look forward to hearing from you. And from this point on, I think I'm going to leave it in. We'll consider this the end of the episode, but want to have some sort of post-show discussion about what we might do next. And yeah.
Sure.
Do you mind if I grab a drink really quick?
No, you're all good.
All right. I'll be right back.
Sure.
Thanks. How long do you think we've been going for?
I mean, like 3.5 hours.
Really?
Yeah, dude. We started at like 6 my time. It's 9:30.
Holy shit, man. Well, obviously, I'll be able to cut it down a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I always kind of intended for this to be kind of long. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, listening to stuff like this while like I'd be driving in my car was kind of like what I was all about, with podcasts. And I don't know if anybody's listening, they're listening,
Yeah.
It's a big deal to me either way.
Yeah. No, at first I was like, like our podcasts are nice. And then I was like, there's so much content to like actually cover that no way we're fitting anything in an hour except for like Tretch Craven Tail.
Tretch. I want to do Tretch justice. Okay, we'll find a way. There's got to be something in there.
Is that what you want to do next?
No. No. Hopefully, Warhammer 3 will be out before we have to dig that deep.
Hey guys, we're doing Grimgore Iron.
Well, I mean, if they do a great DLC for the greenskins, it might be worth it. I'm hoping. I love the greenskins. I want them to get something good.
Same.
So you were, you definitely had the great idea of picking Markus Wulfhart for our first episode.
Yeah.
It was fantastic, man. I had a great time playing this campaign.
Oh, I'm glad.
Yeah, it wore me down a little bit in the middle, like I said, but I took a little of break. I cheated and played some Beastmen, and then I came back and I was like, wow, this is actually getting pretty interesting again.
Okay. While we're confessing our cheats, I went and played a like half a Thorgrim campaign because I was like, I'm tired of getting beat all the time.
Tired of getting my ass beat.
Fuck this.
That's finally funny. So I'm kind of I'm trying to figure out what we should play next, right?
Yeah.
So I'm thinking definitely Old World, right?
Yeah. Do you want to go back and forth sort of between like Order and Chaos factions?
I don't know if I necessarily want to. Oh, that brings me to mind. Malice Darkblade. I mean, was that what you're possibly leaning towards?
It wasn't, but if you want to get the really hard campaigns out of the way right away.
Well, it's going to be interesting, man. Because I have not made it very far either. I tried Mortal Empires, and I was like, oh, God, fighting Mortal.
The first battle is fucking so rough. It's so hard.
Dude, just auto-resolve it until you beat it.
Is that the beta?
It's the cheat, man. You just auto-resolve it, and sometimes you survive it.
Sometimes you get away with it.
Yeah, sometimes you get a close victory, and it clinches it. I don't know how it works, because I've not been able to beat it.
Yeah, no, that battle's hard. I've never beat it. Okay, yeah, I'd be down for Malice.
Well, let me look around first, but I did think Malice would probably be good. It's the newest DLC. I mean, he's an edgy boy.
He's an edgy boy.
And
my type of guy.
I mean, he rides a cold one, so I guess that sort of ties in.
Yeah, I've played with him because I confederated him as Malekith. So I played with him, but not his campaign, which is vastly different than actually confederating him.
He does have an interesting start. I mean, having that city back in Nagarond or whatever that area is. Yeah. And I mean, both of us play. That seems like another campaign where whether we play Vortex or Mortal Empires, it sounds like it could go any number of ways.
Oh, where does he start on Vortex? I'm actually very curious.
He starts off fighting some high elves. I know that. Let me see. Again, probably close to the Last Defenders. Is that what they're called?
Oh, no, because I've played Last Defenders and I don't remember running.
Well, he's
Malice.
He. I feel like you could run into the Last Defenders as Malice. He's just southeast. South by southeast.
Oh, you know what? I did run into him. Yeah, he was a pushover.
Well,
okay, yeah, I do remember because he has his little island thing there is way shittier in Vortex compared to Mortal Empires.
Yeah, it looks like you. I haven't tried his Vortex campaign. I probably would if we did it.
Mm-hmm.
But I know on Mortal Empires you can, because I've done plenty of Snitch campaigns. you can cross like those little like land bridges they sort of have, but it looks like you have to go out into the open ocean for this guy. I don't know for sure.
Yeah, like you'd pretty like because the problem is if you go like straight to land there, you're fighting Krokgar and Queek, because that's basically like for real. That's what you're fighting.
Oh damn.
Yeah, that'd be hard on Vortex.
Let's see. What other options do we have? I definitely don't want to do Lustria.
No Lizard Man. Where it's off tech list.
I mean, I don't know. You gotta. That was my, suggestion. I don't know what he.
Yeah, I'm down to do Malice. I'm just saying he's gonna be way harder for you than for me.
Well, it's I want to try him because I've heard bad things about him, but I think that's coming from people who have I don't know, maybe they had a certain expectation of what his campaign would be like. And
well, yeah, and I think it's just that he's not as good as he came out with Snicketch, right?
yeah,
I think people just consider Snicketch better.
I mean, maybe I played more Snicketch, so maybe it's true, or maybe it's just how you level him, get the right equipment, or I mean, it's not like Dark Elves have bad units, because they don't.
No, they're because the only they'd be pretty well suited, honestly, to taking on Lizard Men.
Yeah, I mean they're basic bolt throw, well, not bolt throwers, dark shards. Is that what they're called?
Armor piercing. Yeah,
armor piercing. Yeah, it's perfect for them.
Yeah,
I think he seems cut out for that. Yeah, I think Malice Darkblade would be a good a follow up to this. Just as hard, equally as traumatic. We'll have flashbacks to Lustria and the Dragon Isles.
Yep.
It's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be great.
Cool. I'm down to do Malice. Do you have like a YouTube channel and stuff created already?
No, give me this next week to get everything in order.
Okay.
I don't know. I only finished this campaign like I said, like 2 hours before we started recording.
Yeah.
I was like, I didn't realize, like, I got slogged down because, like I said, Marathi complicated things quite a bit, and I had to take more time. But I don't know. This was also our first. Keep in mind, that was the first campaign I ever finished.
Yeah, exactly.
It was different for me.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll once I get everything in order, as I finish it, at like tomorrow, maybe I'll create the YouTube channel. I still got to create a logo. I still want to do like a 45-second intro.
Yeah.
So give me at least a week, maybe 2, depends on how long I end up working the week after.
Right.
But the fact is we got it. We got our first one done, so now it's just a matter of me editing it, and it will happen, within a week or 2 weeks at the longest.
Okay.
So if you're satisfied with that, I mean, then the hard part's over. Then we just gotta, tackle these one at a time, or in some cases, like we talked about before, like if we ever get desperate enough, like you could do Tyrion and Teclis, one of us do each.
Yeah,
because that could still be interesting. I mean, I could see, I can see how that'd be interesting because they're different. They go through. I don't know. We can do cool stuff like that. Like
shake it up a little bit.
I mean, the tough thing is let me see, Icket Claw and Snicketch. Like you almost have to do a separate one for each of them.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Clyroster, Direfin.
I swear to God, Silostra Direfin is gonna be the last fucking campaign I ever play.
Silastra, I've never touched her yet.
I don't want to either. Every time I click on her, I hate her.
I know.
I'm just like, what's my diplomatic status? And she's like, sing the songs. Yeah. But I'm like, oh my god.
She starts with Morn Ghouls, though.
Not worth it.
I get it. One day we're gonna be desperate, and you're gonna be like, "Yeah, your turn," and I'm gonna be like, "Silastra."
Yeah.
Nailed it.
What makes her renowned and feared? Fucking nothing. Is better suited for the opera than Total War.
Her voice. We'll find something. Well, I don't know. Okay, so, man. All right. Let me finish. Let me type in the command prompt. Let me quit out of Warhammer right here,
Yeah.
and then let me wrap
Thanks,
this.
Craig.
Yeah, thanks, Craig. Our producer's hard at work. Let me see here. Where's the command prompt? Oh yeah, I typed it in earlier. Doing some hackerman shit here.